That's what I'm talking about. What's going on, everyone? Welcome, Arvanauts. Welcome, everybody, to a Tuesday stream. It is 5:20 p.m. Eastern, and welcome to Day 3 of Lord of the Rings role-playing. This is Day 3 of Shire Adventures, a conspiracy most cracked, and I hope everyone is looking forward to some fun shenanigans with hobbits and men of Bree and things like that. I hope everyone is looking forward to that as much as I am. Before we get any further, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us here on the channel. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube, the !ArvTube, where you can see past broadcasts of this and other streams. !ArvCord is the Discord channel, where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. That is always appreciated. The Twitter is !ArvTweets, where I will always post when I'm going live and doing things of that nature. If you haven't done so already, please consider as well supporting the channel, the website arvanelleron.com, but supporting us with the shop, !Arv Shop, is the area where you can get stuff, swag for the channel, is from the channel, and stuff for you, and stuff that also supports the channel. And we are looking forward to getting that up and running in a new form soon, as Triffid and I are continuing to do work on this. So we should have that up and rolling in the next couple of weeks into something different. So I'm very excited about that. If you have not already done so, please consider supporting us on the Patreon, which is !ArvTreon. That is really the financial backbone of the channel and makes a big difference in terms of what we're able to do with the channel. And I have seen that number start to go back up, for which I am most appreciated. Appreciate that very much. So hopefully people can do more of that as we continue along. Cool stuff for yourself and cool stuff for the channel, including inspirations to help our players. So please consider doing that. On the publishing side, Icarus is my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts. The amazing Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment is available as well. And hang on a second whilst I post that into the Arv Live channel. Okay, I want to make sure that people knew about that on the Discord. And of course, Greyshade, Greyshade, which is my novel from the amazing Athos Arts that came out last year. The sequel to it, Renegade, is coming out later this year. The final book in that series, called Heretic, will be coming out next year. And the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade later this year. The audiobook from one Mr. Trent Sparks will come out later this year as well. And so that is something you'll want to make sure that you get in on right now. And you can, of course, pre-order those other things also. So all of that stuff would be much appreciated if you could support us that way. If you have not already done so, please as well consider supporting some of the other stuff that we do on this channel. As I'm making sure my camera is working. And that is BLM, Black Lives Matter. Very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the fine people of Ukraine as they continue to fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage. This both helps them and also sends a message in the future that we will help others who are in that same situation in a similar way. Today, we have got Shire Adventures going on at 9 p.m. this evening. We'll be back here on the channel for our monthly Vocalist session, as we'll be continuing with Citizen Sleeper. We're heading into the home stretch of that game. Right now, KP is not going to be joining us this month because he is in the middle of a move, so he will be back with us next month. So tonight, we will have Rem Alternus with us, and we will have Zach Clay with us. That'll be happening tonight. Then we will be off Wednesday, Thursday. On Friday, we have got more Court of Blades, the early selection NJ Webfest winning early selection for Speculate's Court of Blades Valorword, GM'd ably, of course, by Michael R. Underwood. And then on Saturday, we are going to have Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks as we get back into that campaign. And then next week is the last week of March. And I should also mention, too, this is something we'll have up here as well, that... There we go. The next game, I think, should be posted Let me just make sure that it's got the right things on there. Yes, Star Control 2 or the Building Full of Cats. Those are the two things that are up available for today. We have 5 votes each, so get your votes in because by the end of the session tonight, so at the end of the Arvocalist session this evening, we will close that down, and then I will be playing that next Tuesday. So that's going to be exciting. I am very happy to have that playing, to be able to play that Patreon-fueled game next Tuesday. As March is almost over, which is just amazing to me. Like, I can't believe that it's gone that quickly. It's been crazy talk. But that is what is going on with us now. But now the time has come for some more of Tolkien and Shire Adventures. So I'm going to unmute them so they know we're ready to go. I'm going to unmute myself and unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to swing over to reveal the incredible crew which stands in front of you prepared, including Granny Lavender Hope Singer's pipe, which is I'm very excited about. This prop is going to be really amazing. But it is great to have the crew with us again. Welcome, everybody. I love that pipe. Welcome, everybody. And yes, welcome to day 3 of Lord of the Rings role-playing. I will start with the person who is on the top left, who was showing off a new bit of swag that she has gotten for game love, but is you know, it's a little warm, it's a little hot for this at the moment, so has removed that at the moment. But I'll just say that it has some connections to a game that people may have heard of and may even have seen played on this channel in the past. So, oh, see, I knew by saying this I was going to trigger the desire to actually go get it. We'll just wait for that.
I'm just realizing we are all like using the wrong color scheme. It's like my character is purple, but my background is green, and Amal's character is green, and she's wearing purple.
So there's the code.
Then Brad has like a blue character with like a red background, and Trent has like some blue in the background, but his character is red.
So if we all fly to each other's houses,
it'll be that's exactly right. So, okay, Amal, so tell us, first of all, good to see you. How are you? Let us know who you're playing, and also explain the jacket, the coat, for people who may not know the direct.
This is a death cloak from the Zaum. I don't know how Zaum is pronounced, but from the atelier that is associated with the game Disco Elysium. And so on the back of this beautiful jacket is the full illustration of the thought cabinet, which is a component of the game, and it's very beautiful. And this part here, which I can't stop petting, is velvet, and this is silk, and it's all lovely. The buttons are horn. It's just great, and it feels so comfortable, and I love it so much. And it makes me feel 6,000% cooler when I wear it, and it confers upon me great power, which is indicated by the fact that one of the things in Disco Elysium is that you can like equip items that give you bonuses, and this jacket gives you, let's see, +1 to Inland Empire and +1 to behaviorism. Behaviorism actually is not actually in the game, but it might be in some ancillary material. Anyway, I love Disco Elysium. I'm obsessed with it. And this jacket became available the day that I finished the game the first time. So I bought it like 6 weeks ago, and it arrived recently. So I'm cuddling it now, and I love it. But it's too warm to wear inside right now. So I'm gonna put it away. And I'm okay. I'm doing there's a lot going on. Always, everywhere, everything all at once, and it's fine. It's fine. Just gotta be a leaf floating on the wind. And
don't be a leaf on the wind.
Or maybe I will be a leaf deposited by the wind on a river that is flowing, and that is just
doesn't get shafted.
So I have a ritual that I do every year, which is on the first day of the year, I go outside and look for a bird, and the first bird that I see is like a sort of augur or symbol of like the year to come.
Okay.
And this year, the first bird that I saw on January 1st was a mallard. It was a duck, and I was like, what shall I take from that? Well, mallards are dabbling ducks, so I should take, I should dabble. They are adaptable to many different environments. You know, they fly, they swim, they walk on land. Should also do that. And they let things roll off their backs like water just rolls off their backs. And so these are all instructions I am trying to take with me into my life as it is upheaved in many different ways.
Hopefully it'll not be a foul year. So it'll be good. Thank you. I'll be here all
No,
week.
you said every year is a foul year on account of every year I look for a bird. So on that level,
It's so hot.
this doesn't work. I rebuke your pun.
Yes,
It's
fair
just
enough.
bad.
Thank you also for the resub, Tari. When not wearing awesome jackets and things like that, may I ask who you were playing in our session today?
Yes, I am playing Coriander Took, who is a hobbit in her tweens, and she has she has relationships with objects that transcend the paltry concepts of property and ownership.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Of course it is. She's also very eloquent.
And it's going to be some of that will be we will challenge a bit of that, since today you're going to be getting into the Matham house, where I'm sure there are not at all treasures that will need to be repurposed for any other reason. But always a pleasure to have Amal with us, and also a pleasure to have Brad with us. Brad Bollier is back with us again, and is here with the character which you will explain in a minute. Brad, how are you? How is life in the universe and everything? What's the shirt today, Brad? What's the what have we got for the shirt?
This one, Milwaukee. In Milwaukee, there's a coffee collective called Colectivo.
Okay.
In the olden days, in the before times, when I used to go places, I would go there and have coffee. But man, I have not been out. I didn't think this would really happen. It didn't happen at first. Like, I was still eager to like leave the house, at different times. But like since the pandemic and stuff, I don't even go really to Kenosha, which is just like a 10-minute drive away, to go to a coffee house I used to go to. And I definitely don't go up to Milwaukee to hang out there anymore. Kind of a drag. I mean, I like the house and stuff like that, but and I enjoyed being out and about, but just not as much anymore. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. Part of it is the not fear that I will get COVID, the one time that I go out, but like after so much reinforcement, of masking and watching myself and stuff like that, it's pushed me sort of inward a little bit, which is kind of a drag.
It's appropriate then that your character is someone that is looking outward, and interested in travel and moving out of that, so that hopefully that is symbolic of a certain desire in your soul to be reconnected with the outside world, so to speak. How are things otherwise with the outside, with you and various writing things, and who are you playing today?
Yeah, I just talked about like not wanting to go places, but I am going to France for a stint in Paris for a signing there with my publisher Bragelonne, and then a trip to Belgium for Trolls and Legends in Mons, and hopefully Tari will be there too. I think she might have tickets already, so we're making plans to go and hang out one day. So that'll be really cool.
That's nice.
Yeah, so like here I am like talking about staying home, and I'm going off on this cool trip. So that'll be really fun. And I also just finished up this big monster book that I've talked about the last bunch of sessions and stuff. And like always, I'm so antsy now. I'm so anxious because I'm not writing something right at the moment, and I don't know what to write next, so I'm trying to keep myself I'm trying to relax for one, but I'm also like trying to like feed that little gremlin and just take little notes and just give a little bit of thought to what I am going to do next, along the way, and try to like, split the difference a little bit.
I hear
so so my character is someone who does want to go out and see things. He's Caloran Fallowhide, who is a budding map maker. He is also a messenger. and he's eager to see more of everywhere, including this house that we're going to in Michel Delving.
Mm-hmm.
Very sorry.
In the map they're in.
Yeah,
I said Caloran is eager to get to our destination and find this map.
Yeah, find this map, exactly, and is going to be needed perhaps to coordinate among which maps are actually happening. And welcome, Uber Jaeger. Party wants to stick with AME. They said to switch systems, they want to try the One Ring 2nd edition. Well, you'll have a chance to see a little bit about some of the differences, hopefully, with this system, Uber Jaeger, which I like a lot too. You'll have a chance to see it for yourself. But pleasure as always to have Brad and to have Cal, who will be dealing with map stuff in just a bit. And also a pleasure, of course, as always, to have Tari with us, who's going to be meeting Brad perhaps in Belgium. And I hope that you are doing okay. I know that it is like an ungodly hour for you, Tari, but nonetheless, I appreciate that you were sacrificing to be with us and to play your character and so on. How's life in the universe besides late at night? And who are you playing today?
Well, like right now, the Gower. There we go. The hour isn't that ungodly. It's just that I didn't have a nap. I tried to have a nap beforehand, and it didn't work. So I'm grumpy. And I'm going to stumble over my words a lot. So, yeah.
It's hard to divorce naps sometimes.
Yeah.
Like nap now, hurry nap.
Yeah.
Make it nap.
The problem was also like I was actually really tired when I went to lay down and I still couldn't fall asleep. So
9 times out of 10 naps make me feel worse. And so I always, it's like a horrible roulette of, gosh, I'm so tired. But if I nap, everything will be more bad. But I hope that's not the case with you more generally.
Several years ago, there was this like little, I don't know, body mind hack going around whereby you try to nap, but you take a power nap for 20 minutes, but you drink some coffee just before the nap, and it takes a little while for the caffeine to kick in and stuff. So you do the 20-minute nap, whatever, and it does rest you, and it's not so long that you fall into like the deeper sleeps, like moving towards delta sleep, which is why you get into trouble. If you sleep too long, your mind starts to shut down at that point. Whereas if you use the caffeine, it kind of keeps you from dipping too low when you come back and you feel refreshed.
Well, I don't have that problem because my mind is always shut down. So my first bird that I saw this year was probably a jackdaw because we only have jackdaws in this town or in this entire country, I'm pretty sure.
I think you have more birds than that.
Yeah, we do probably, but it's like,
I have a European expansion.
So
a European expansion of Wingspan has told me that you actually have many, many other birds.
Yeah, but like this area is like way too urbanized. Like there's like no untouched nature in this area. So like you will only find like the type of, the city birds basically, Like my boyfriend
Starlings?
like the other week, I don't know what a starling is. I need to look that one up.
See, here's the thing. This is a tiny anecdote. So you know how birch trees are a thing that exist. They're white trees, black marks on them, right? So Stu, my partner, did not believe me that there was such a thing as a white tree. I was like, Stu, there are birch trees literally everywhere in town. Like, how can you not believe me that there are white trees? And he was just like, what do you mean? And I pointed one out and I said, this is a birch tree. And he was like, oh, huh. And now he notices them everywhere because he has a word for them. Like he just hadn't connected the word birch, which I think he always thought was like a dude's name, to the white tree. And because he didn't have that, like he just didn't clock that there are white trees or whatever. He doesn't look at nature. He doesn't, but
wait, they don't have birch trees in Scotland?
They do. They 100% do.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
Confused. Yeah,
but he's just never. This is what I'm trying to say: is that around you in your urban environment, you have, I am absolutely certain, house sparrows, starlings, house
we do
finches.
have a shit ton of sparrows.
Yeah, and within sparrows there are lots of variations. But until you know like what to look for and attach it to like some element of vocabulary, well, this is the bird with this element or whatever. You're not necessarily going to notice it because you don't have the place to kind of put the information in, to index the information in your brain.
Oh no! Like I actually do look a lot at birds because like that's
okay.
one of my don't want to say one of my boyfriend's hobbies.
Oh,
it's more like that's like one of his dad's hobbies, and so like he like by proxy learned a lot about bird watching.
Gotcha. Okay.
And also we have a cat, and like our cat's favorite hobby is to look at birds in the window. So whenever she goes like, we need to go look what kind of bird she spotted.
Yes.
Like
we call it the murder chirping.
The murder
exactly.
chirping.
Exactly. They like to look at birds. That's clearly what they're doing. Is
But yeah, like no, I'm pretty sure that like in this town, like at least like during like winter time, you will only see jackdaws and pigeons basically.
Remind me of the name of the place, or put it in the chat or something. I'm gonna look on
the Netherlands.
Like there are more birds once you like get out of like town, right?
Oh no, I know, but there's like a thing called eBird that will let me look at your specific place, and I'm curious.
Okay.
eBird.
Whilst doing that, may I ask Tari who you're playing in our game today?
Yeah. So
much as I love the bird convo,
I'm playing Granny Lewin. God fucking damn it! I'm just gonna leave and go to bed. I'm playing some cranky old grandma. No, I'm playing Granny Lavender Hopesinger. She is a scholar and also little Coriander's grandma. And she is Bilbo's cousin, like I don't know how often removed, and everybody is related, and I do have stuff. And she's like the great aunt of Laura Hopesinger, who some of you folks from the Game Book Illustrations live streams might remember from many years ago.
Yep.
So everything is connected.
So, Arv, couldn't we take role playing to the next level by having Lavender literally fall to sleep on the channel?
I mean, listen, I think if we pursue that down the line, it's going to become very dangerous. Like you actually, what happened to them? Well, they unfortunately their character was hurt in the game. They're like, their character's hurt, yeah. So they took it to the next level and they hurt themselves, while. Punch themselves in the face to replicate the experience. But yes, we will do what we can to keep the player awake, even if Granny goes down the other way. The pipe should certainly help one way or the other.
I will just eat it, then I can't sleep.
Yeah, that would definitely make that. It is always a pleasure to have Tari with us. Last but certainly not least, it is also a pleasure to have one Mr. Trent Sparks with us, who has returned to the fold after being with us for the Eberron for a couple of sessions as well. Tren, how is life, the universe with you? Also, fair warning, my daughter has asked me to talk to her for just 1 second, so I may let Tren introduce himself and his character whilst I go deal with that. So, Tren, how are you? How is life in the universe? And can you introduce in the ways that I've described, etc., whilst I go find out what my daughter wants?
Yes. This right here is my character. You see him on the overlay. I'm hiding behind his face because this is him. His name is hi. I'm Tren. I'm the man behind the curtain. Pay no attention to me except when I'm pitching. I'm Tren Sparks. I'm an audiobook narrator who's very, very sleepy, much like Granny over here. Because for me, it is also an ungodly late hour. So, yeah. But yeah,
maybe Coriander and I can go do a side quest while you guys.
Maybe. I doubt that. It's
welcome
raining.
to nap time with the Argonauts.
The shipping
we're all outfitted with blankets, that we lay on the floor and stuff.
Just like ASMR
I was
type
just
stuff.
gonna say,
That would be.
I would be out so fast. If we start breaking into this house and Arv is like, you walk into the room and you're just gone.
Anyway, remember last adventure with the owl and stuff? It's just enough to knock you out.
Yeah. But we have a bit of a bomb cyclone going on over the Bay Area right now. So if I disappear, it's because the power got knocked out. And if it starts raining really heavy and the wind starts blowing really powerfully, that will also knock me out. Well, it might knock me out. It might just jazz me up to the point that, as I told these folks, I might go stand on the roof and giggle in Storm Demon glee, excuse me. But yeah, Titch Applebow is my character's name. He is a man of Bree. He is a gate guard. Presuming that he survives all of this stuff, he's the guy you see in the Lord of the Rings when the hobbits get to Bree and the gate gets knocked over on him when the ring wraiths come through and trample the gate. He survives that though, because yeah. You don't see him.
What? No, nothing. Pay no attention.
See?
Storm Goblin.
You drew the zoom to you with the sound of your yawn.
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh god! You're always all on screen for me. I don't.
Same.
So, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Like a separate designated screen just for you guys.
I'm muting myself in case of future yawns.
See, that's
Is there an option
that's
for
what I
like
know you're gonna
making everybody the same size? Oh, there is.
That's what
I see.
you guys look like to me. Way up. I think it's up here in the corner. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
It
view.
says view.
Top right
there.
view. You can choose to have gallery or speaker.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Ah,
Man.
So now that
Keep
we've
speaker.
taught everybody how to use Zoom,
Yeah. So
I think we should try to recap what's happened up until this point and see how badly we do it as compared to Arv when he shows up again.
I think it's a great idea. I think.
And remember owls?
Yeah.
I've heard
Hooty
of them.
owls.
Well, Coriander made friends with an owl who is now sworn to protect her for the rest of her life, and will, because it's actually kind of too big to perch on her shoulder, is just going to sort of hover around behind her periodically, join them on this quest, and. Just,
How big was that owl
so
again?
Inge couldn't have a giant raven, but you get to have a giant owl. I see how it is.
It's only giant, relatively speaking. It's only because Coriander's very small. She's a small girl.
Oh, but Inge was tall. Yeah.
Inge is taller than Coriander. I think these things
Marginally.
matter when you're talking about
Size doesn't matter.
Arv, we've recapped everything for you.
Oh,
You
really?
don't need to. Yeah, you don't need to do it. You can just go
Especially
through
the part
to-
about Coriander's new familiar.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The what now?
Yeah, I made friends with an owl.
You don't even remember.
How can you not remember this? It's on the VOD, absolutely.
I look forward to seeing the VOD that has this.
Can't look forward to it. You have to look back. It's happened in the past.
Thank you, Tram. Exactly.
However, I imagine that you have introduced now yourself as Titch, etc. That part.
That's not his name. I mean, his name is
Drat.
Titch, but it's not Titch, etc.
Yeah.
No.
Well, Titch and then
Applebow. ...
You need to call an audible in the RP.
What
have
if
a
he
good
has like
discussion.
3 middle names, which abbreviate to ETC?
So that's once we start getting like 8 titles each. That's what that'll be like.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. When we'll have that's true. What will happen when you're actually except for you, because it'll be for the hobbits. It'll be something like the ring finder, the luck wearer, that type of stuff, like Bilbo's things for themselves. So.
Right.
Okay, so well, thank you everybody. My apologies, I had to deal with something quick with my daughter. So we are ready then to talk a little bit about Shire Adventures and about what happened. Basically, the real recap, if you will, that actually happened.
Excuse me.
Wow. I see how it is. Okay, let's fire up a little bit of music here, and let's go with some Willow and the Light. Okay. So, in our last session, the party of 3 hobbits and 1 erstwhile man of Bree, who did not intend to go along this path, but has gone along the path to try to follow up on this bear sighting, supposedly. The party
supposedly, that's what he's doing.
Yeah, that was the claim. At least that was what was happening initially. They have been sent by none other than one Mr. Bilbo Baggins to try to retrieve a map that once belonged to Bilbo's grandfather. And the claim is that because it belonged to his grandfather, clearly it should be in his house and not where it currently sits, which is in the Matham home in Michel Delving, where, it's nice that people get to look at it sort of as like a museum, but it really belongs with Bilbo, and he's sure that everyone would understand that, even if he hasn't actually, gotten permission to do all of this. So he sent these four intrepid adventurers to go find them, to go find this map. And so far, the party has been through it a little bit. They had a massive adventure with a swollen river, which they did in fact manage to cross in the end, although at some cost to the dryness of Titch Applebow's boots. They managed to do that. They managed to find out a little bit of information in Waymeet, and also managed to stay in a barn where there was an owl that was bothering Gertrude the mule. And the party managed to, exactly, we had a lot of we had a lot of that going on.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about, I see what you've done there.
And demonetized.
So the party gathered together, gathered their wits and their ideas, and decided that rather than driving the owl away, although Granny did attempt to throw a bunch of stones at the owl, which the owl repelled, was much disturbed. Coriander was much disturbed that her grandmother was doing this. They managed to essentially communicate with the owl. They brought the owl some voles, I believe it was, for food, and eventually managed to convince the owl that it would be better for Gertrude and for all concerned if the owl could please find another place to stay besides the barn. The owl did this, and the party in its
befriended the owl, and now the owl is Coriander's dear friend for life and will follow the party around wherever they go.
That is not quite what happened, but I
Right,
appreciate
it can't be a dear friend. It's
aspirational nature of this roleplay. Yes. However, it is fair to say that the party did not anger the beasts of the Shire through their behavior, and that is clearly a positive thing. It's true, yeah. The day is young, so to speak.
Wait, that was an option.
That could have happened.
Well,
yes.
that's what Granny was trying. But,
you could have angered the beasts of the Shire. You could have done that. That's true. But the rest of the evening passed uneventfully, and a few minutes after the rooster crowed, Bunce, who was the owner of this barn, woke all of you, thanked you for getting rid of the owl in a apparently peaceful manner, and bid you a polite but firm farewell, which meant that setting out from Waymeet, the conspirators headed out, and that would put us, if I look at the map here quickly, that would put the conspirators to Michel Delving, which is over here on the west side here.
Is that our group name? Are we the conspirators?
That is what Bilbo referred to you as. I think Coriander in particular embraced this term. I don't know.
I don't think he gets to name us.
Say again? What?
I don't think he gets to name us.
He doesn't get to name it. Well, listen.
But he's the author.
I mean, you get to name. Listen, you get to name yourselves what you like. I'm just saying what Bilbo, referred to you as. But headed down the western road until arriving at Michel Delving. And if you head over the rest of the time, you should be able to get to Michel Delving by the end of the day. So the question is, as you're making your way down this road, are there anything in particular you can all feel free to speak to each other, of course, if you like. Otherwise, you'll arrive at Michel Delving. It's a relatively safe path here on the road, but you can certainly feel free to do or say anything you like before arriving there. But if all goes well, you should get there just before dusk, if all goes well.
I have a question. Who is this Michelle, and what are they delving into?
Utter silence.
Thanks. Okay, very much.
Did Titch actually ask that of the party?
Yes, that's why he sounds like this.
Okay,
That's
cool.
why I didn't respond.
Okay. Coriander kind of looks up thoughtfully and says, "Granny, do you know? You know everything about the names and the people around here."
Do I?
Of course you do.
I would think you know some of it, sure.
So what do I know about Michel Delving? Because I, as a player, know nothing.
Or is it like some weird, distant language? It's actually like Michel Delving, and there are like elves there. What are we talking about here?
Oh, it's like no, it's not an ancient language or anything. No, this is just like, you know how like names get like bastardized over time, and get
Seems
shortened
rude.
and stuff.
Okay.
So, it was like actually something that meant like, you know, like it wasn't like the "d" part isn't like foreign or anything. It's just, you know, it like used to mean like something like
Well,
there. No.
I mean, what I can tell you about
there delving, you know.
what I can tell you about that area is that so you, and all of you know this to a degree, probably even Titch would know that Michelle Delving is basically the chief township of the Shire. It's quite wealthy. There are many proud and wealthy gentle hobbits who are proud to call this place their home. And in fact, the mayor, whose name is Pot Whitfoot, has a fine home in the largest hobbit hole in the West Farthing outside of Bag End itself, and that is the town hall. And from there, the mayor of the Shire ensures that the sheriffs maintain the few duties that they have. It should be noted that the sheriffs in these days of peace don't do a whole lot except preside at banquets, basically, but the sheriffs are available, you know, when needed. But the biggest thing about Michelle Delving that everybody knows about, of course, is the local museum, which is called the Matham House, which sits upon the hill just south of the town hall. And there are all kinds of, in particular, the Matham House is well known for genealogical records. It is known for compilations of hobbit lore, for old weaponry, obviously for maps, and for its extensive collection of cookbooks, which is one of the prize sort of, you know, possessions of the Shire in general. The other thing is that there is a free fair that is held during the high summer days of Lythe on the White Downs, which are a few miles west of Michelle Delving. So it's quite possible that a few of you, probably Titch would not have done this, but it's quite possible that Coriander, you might have even been taken to this festival once by Granny, Lavender, and certainly Cal, you would have been there on occasion, sort of looking out for the land beyond the West Farthing, where this stuff is held. So it's a prominent, you know, a prominent and very wealthy area, and a good place to find a museum with equipment in it, and things that you need. So that's basically what you know, Granny, I think, about Michelle Delving.
So basically, Michelle Delving is mainly known for having a lot of rich bigwigs.
I would say,
and-
relative
no, I'm
to
saying that
Hobbit
in
culture.
character.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You be quiet.
Shush,
Sorry.
DM, you got nothing
I
to say.
Sorry.
Just, you know, a lot of people think that's too good for everybody else.
Are you very interested in the origins of place names, Titch?
No.
Oh, so this is just a one-off? You just wondered?
Kind of, yeah. Is that why you keep them all over here at this end of town? Is it because you don't want to associate with them, and so you just keep them way off over here, away from everybody else?
Yes.
Oh, I think it would be a really interesting world if the people who were not very wealthy actually had a say in where the wealthy people lived. And it was actually entirely up to us to put them all in one place where they could be far, far away from us, but somehow subject to our will. I think that'd be really cool.
Yes.
I don't think Coriander actually would have said that, but I sure am feeling it anyway.
Too late.
I just love the idea. Why is this why you keep them here? Imagine being able to keep rich people like pets and put them somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Like jail. Anyway,
Yes.
anyway, right. Okay, so I guess we go and we borrow this map then.
Yes.
So Cal says, do we want to just walk into town and let it be known that we're all together? Is there any, I don't know, precautions that we want to take before we actually reach the town?
I mean,
How sneaky do we want to be on the approach is what I'm getting at.
maybe you guys are taking me to find out more information about this bear.
We could be doing that, sure. In fact,
Actually, I have actually forgotten
are.
how much information about the bear we have gotten. We did actually get some.
Basically, what Titch already knows, that there have been reports of a bear in the area.
Oh,
And it's
but
like, I know that, you know.
No, but it was like a spirit bear. Like, wasn't it? Didn't we talk about
a little bit of
like...
a glow, and it left footprints, but it's all the stuff he's heard before.
Okay.
It
But
just-
what is he
Well, if
actually
the
looking
bear
for?
is very wealthy, then I'm sure he will be in Micheldelde. So let's go check there.
What exactly? You know, Titch, I thought I knew this, but maybe I've forgotten. What is the victory condition of your quest for this bear?
Then I find out information about the bear.
Okay, so like if you learned its name, or like how many siblings it has, that's information that you're looking for?
Not that I'm looking for. It's just when the report came in and I got sent out here, what we knew was that hobbits were reporting that there was a bear wandering around and they didn't think that they would be able to take care of it on their own, so please send a guard. And here I am.
Okay, so you actually have to, like, if we find the bear, you actually have to do something about it.
No, I was sent to find
Oh.
information about the bear.
No, it all becomes so clear now. It's because this was something I was honestly very confused about, because I thought we gave you information, but then you didn't take that information elsewhere, so you must actually be here to defend us against a bear, which I think is very admirable. Is that why you have this spear?
I have the spear because it's part of my uniform.
Well, it seems like, I mean...
And it did help us get across the river.
It did. It was a very helpful spear. I think it's very good. Why is it part of your uniform if not to use it?
Well, normally, yes, but that's defending a gate.
Against bears?
Hopefully not.
So, if you were to find this bear in the... I'm just trying to imagine the possibility space. If you found this bear, what would you do?
So we're borrowing this map?
Yes.
Maybe the bear has a map. We will find out.
I sure hope not. I think there are many delicate things inside the museum that a bear might not be able to lumber around very easily. I'm very excited to see what's in there. I haven't been since I was very small.
Having been there before, do we have a sense of whether or not a group of 4 would be noticed in the town, from outside the area kind of thing?
Not, it's quite busy, so probably not if all you're doing is walking into town. If you attract notice, like, for example, actively are noticed breaking into a museum, for example, that could be a different issue, but you doubt it. It's 3 hobbits and a manabri is not something which is likely to excite a lot of comment in this area. You don't think, from what you can tell.
I think that we should continue to assist our friend Mr. Applebow with his inquiries about this bear, and we should do this while, I've always wanted to say this, casing the joint. That's something that is in the books that I read sometimes. I think we should go and explore the museum while it's open and see what it's like, and then we can maybe make a plan for later.
You are way too young to smoke, young lady.
I was gonna say, casing the joint is like putting a pipe in a box, isn't it? It just seems like
I've never heard that term. Isn't a joint like your knuckle? Or a place that you could case?
Or a piece of a pig.
Oh, that I did know.
A joint, yeah.
Anyway, I think it's wonderful how different our perspectives are on the world. What do you think, Granny? Should we just walk in? And maybe on the way into the museum, we can ask people about the bear.
Yes, sure.
What do you think, Cal?
Do you want us to be sneakier?
No, I think we'll be okay. I think there's enough people around that'll be fine. And I do have a general question about the Shire and messengers, of which I am one. Would there be like a post office or something like this that I might go to pick up jobs and things like this?
Would make sense. Bilbo has a mailbox.
There is indeed a post office which can be found. It is, in fact, called the Quick Post and a messenger service and that's also managed by the current mayor, Pot Whitfoot, also is the messenger service and the postmaster of the Quick Post. So, so yes, everything will be routed through him, presumably.
Well, Cal was going to propose that we go there, and as we go through town, kind of check out the museum along the way, but then try to find a messenger or two who would have traveled the area quite extensively and literally ask about the bear as cover.
I mean, surely there must be, like, some kind of wild keeper or whatchamacallit in the area who we could ask, right?
A hobbit ranger, so to speak.
Yes.
That might be a messenger, but maybe there are other vocations that would lend itself to getting around, seeing things like that.
I mean, maybe there's just like a bunch of actual rangers running around. Like they occasionally show themselves around these parts. The Rangers of the North.
Mm-hmm. I guess we could ask in town if there are any present.
I would say.
Wait. Since Granny does herbalism and stuff, she often goes out foraging and stuff, right?
Sure.
Has she had any particular encounters as part of her line of work with rangers or forest keepers or whatever?
I'm sure that she's spoken to a ranger once or twice, but I would say it's a very uncommon thing because they generally do not want, if they don't want to be seen, they won't be, right? Most of the time. But I would say probably that you have, although not as of late, Granny, certainly not for the last, 15 years, you probably have not encountered one.
But 17 years ago, you were harvesting something, and one came up behind you and slipped a sword on your neck. What's this? An herbalist caught off her guard?
Yes, exactly.
And what about not Dunedain Rangers, but surely hobbits also have something like wildlife keepers or whatever.
Sheriffs do most of this. Sheriffs are kind of the catch-all for a lot of these things, and also.
I see. That seems very impractical.
Yeah, well, there's that, and then of course there are also bounders, and it's a good time to talk about. It's a good time to talk about bounders, because as you're having this conversation, you pass the spot where there's a southward path that's leading off from the main center of the main course of the East Road, which is about here-ish, I would say.
Bounder is a male kangaroo, by the way.
Well, I'm going to talk about the bounders in a minute. That is not what a bounder is.
Yes, it is. Wires are the females. Okay, fine.
Listen, there are Oliphants in this universe.
There are Oliphants.
There's
potatoes and tomatoes in this world. Okay, they can have marsupials.
I don't. I was going to say I don't think the existence of potatoes and tomatoes assumes the existence of kangaroos. I don't.
No. Okay, listen. Exactly.
They're from. That means there is a different biome that has been interacted with, and that therefore, why not?
A different biome.
What Amal said.
Also, thank you for the cheer, Dragon Spear. Let's talk about what you find with them, kangaroos or not. I'd love to see Titch switch and being like, I don't care about this bear, but the kangaroo though. Ahead, you get a good look at.
What if the kangaroo has a bear in its pouch?
That would be a large kangaroo, or a very
drop
small
bear,
or a tiny bear.
A drop bear.
A drop bear.
A drop bear.
Oh no, the drop bear.
But ahead you get a good look of Michelle delving upon the White Downs. Again, Michelle delving quite a bit larger than Hobbiton, and a lot more homes above ground. A lot more, as befits the wealth of the inhabitants. So there's a tightly packed collection of homes that are built of wood and brick and stone, and there are occasionally hobbit holes as well. But as the last of its people are going about their evening business as the sun is setting at the end of this day, you cannot help but have your eye drawn to the massive, I guess, and I think it's Smile, not Smeal, to one side of the great cobblestone thoroughfare that runs through the center of town. That is the town hall, and that is where the seat of the mayor of the Shire, the postmaster, the head of the bounders, etc., this person that I've referred to previously. Your own business, though, lies to the south of the town hall, which is on an adjacent hillock not quite so tall and green. It is a large wooden building with a giant red round door that is connected to the main road by way of a small stone path. And this is the Matham House. It is the museum of the Shire, and where, theoretically, you're supposed to get into at some point. As you notice the candles are beginning to flicker to life behind some windows and hobbit folk are settling in for the evening, you notice, and here's where we talk about the bounders, a handful of hobbits who are carrying stout cudgels and tiny lanterns strolling about. They are bounders, undoubtedly, making their usual rounds. Best to avoid them lest your mischief be discovered and thwarted. Bounders are basically like the guards of the town, even more than, let's say, a sheriff would be. They are essentially security for the area, and they often are the ones who they are the ultimate first responder. You know, if you have a problem with something, you might call for a sheriff, but you'd probably be more likely to call for a bounder because there are more of them, and they tend to be, not as worried about banquets to the same degree. So bounders will, try to get down pet cats from trees and things like that, and will also occasionally, when need be, show a little bit of muscle. There have been occasional moments where a little bit too much ale has been, passed around at a given tavern, for example, and there have been some serious arguments, and usually just a bounder being there, sort of, holding their cudgel meaningfully is enough to break that up. That's usually what happens. But there have been occasions before where the bounders were necessary to quell certain circumstances. In fact, Titch, although you don't know about them doing this with wolves, you do know, with bears, you do know that there were, in the probably 40 or 50 years ago, there are stories from 40 or 50 years ago of bounders driving off a couple of wolves during a winter when the river froze over, and there were some that could actually cross over the river. So the bounders are kind of the muscle, basically, is what you would say of the hobbits. And so they tend to have not the greatest sense of humor when they're on duty. Like, they try to, they take their role quite seriously. And there are a number of bounders, you notice, in Michelle Delving, possibly because of the wealth here, but there are a lot sort of wandering around the streets as you are making your way. They are not the Brute Squad, Dragon. I'm the Brute Squad. Also, hi, Chaotix. I'm sure I mean bouncer. I do not mean bouncer, but they can also be bouncers too. So, yes.
So it's getting on to evening. Is there like an inn or something that we can that we would be familiar with from having perhaps visited Michelle Delving before? Or?
There are one or two inns that are quite pricey that do exist here. Yes. And there's one in particular in the center of the town, which is, as I say, it's actually, the name of the thing is a little bit pretentious even for hobbits. It's called the Golden Plate, although the owner of this swears that it has nothing whatsoever to do with actual gold, but simply refers to the golden hue of the firelight washing over the plate as people eat at night. Hobbits do not want to be seen as being too ostentatious, one way or the other. So, yes.
Cool. Cool. Well,
I know what Titch is doing.
Okay, what is Titch doing?
Titch is heading for one of the bounders.
I was gonna say, Coriander was gonna do one of the bounders.
Okay.
But great. I think Coriander is just going to stroll along. I think she's gonna. She's obviously very taken with Titch and is just like going to skip a bit alongside him in a merry way.
Cal, Granny, what about you two?
Granny.
I was just saying, Cal's a little put off by it, and he goes over to Granny and says, "What are they doing?" I think I'll go
I'm
with
just
him.
gonna sit here and watch it like Granny finds like, I don't know, something to sit on to rest her old weary bones and just watch it while she smokes a pipe.
All right, I'll sit with you as well and keep you company.
All right. Well, so as you approach Coriander and Titch, there is one bounder that you approach who seems to be quite fresh-faced and enthusiastic. And when she sees you walking up to, she gets very official-looking and grabs her club and she says, "Yes, what can I do for you then?"
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. Titch Applebow from Bree. I was sent here by the constabulary to investigate reports of a bear that have been seen around the Shire. I was wondering if you or any of the other bounders could provide any sort of further information.
Oh, a bear. Well, I haven't seen a bear, I have to say, but down
That's
here
a
by
no
Michelle
then.
Delvey.
All right. And he goes
No,
over
wait,
to
wait, just a minute. Wait just a minute now. And she comes up around and says, "Now, wait just a minute. Now, it's my job to ask questions of those after nightfall. And frankly,
I have to remember that.
you just coming up,
Right.
yes, I thought you'd like that. And you just coming up to me now puts me in mind of a question, which is, what are you doing here? You say you came to talk about the bear, but who's this person next to you? Are you?
Hi, my name is Coriander. It's lovely to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. I'm
What's
Ada
your
Burrow.
name?
My name's Ada Burrows. But so you're working with him? Are you his apprentice then?
No. Actually, well, we've met on the road, and we thought we would help him out because he seemed. She leans in a little bit towards him. He seems like he needs a little bit of help with his project. But actually, I was coming to ask if you had any, if you could possibly help us. You see, I'm traveling with my granny, and
Granny
we've been-
like nods from where she's sitting.
Yes. And she says, and we've been to Michelle Delving in the past, but it's been a little while and we need somewhere to sleep tonight. And so we were just wondering if you could maybe recommend and one of the inns. I think we stayed in one before, but I just don't know if it's still I don't want to say the best one because I don't want one to be jealous of the other, but like, is there an inn that you would recommend?
Well, most of them are going to be full at these times, but the one that
Oh.
we're looking at probably would be the Golden Plate. I'm sure there'll be a room there, although, well, it's a little expensive, some people say. I mean, not by Michelle Delving standards, you understand, but there might be something for you to stay in there. It could probably put you up. You planning to start your investigations for this bear tomorrow again, then?
No,
Oh,
I started 2 days ago.
Well,
Yes, it's.
no luck yet, huh?
Oh,
I told
none
you
of it
he-
good.
He needs a lot of help.
And she sort of nods, smiles at you, Titch, and then kind of Coriander gently pulls you aside. Is like, now look, if this one's threatening you at all, I
He's-
can deal with this. I'm trained, specially trained to deal with the big folk. If that's what's going on here,
Coriander looks so like warm and like so taken care of, and she goes, "You are so kind. Thank you so much." But no, Titch Applebow is a very lovely man. He has been a honest pleasure to travel with, and it is fine. But I appreciate that so much because honestly, I haven't been out on the road this far before, and it's been very exciting. But it's really it makes me feel very safe to know that you are looking out for us.
oh well, I'm just doing my job. Are those two? You said that they're with you also, and she indicates Granny and Cal, and she says, "Are they assistants?"
No. We're family. Basically, we were coming to see the museum because we thought that it would be nice to visit it while here, since we were just going to be traveling and exploring the area. I haven't done much exploring.
Well, unfortunately, I got some not great news about that. You see, the museum right now is, they call it under renovations. You get the impression that this is something. And it's going to be closed, they said, for at least a week. while they do these renovations. And so that's why I've been really careful about making sure that there's none who might try to break down or cause problems before it gets reopened. It's going to be a big deal, for Michel Delving when this gets opened. Well, I expected some people even outside, as far as the Misty Mountains, I hear tell, may actually come to see this thing when it's reopened. But until then, there's no one who gets in and out. I mean, in or out, except for, bounders, of course, that are required to be there. But so I'm afraid that you've come all this way for nothing, unless you want to wait for another week or so,
While Ada has been saying this, Coriander's eyes have been getting bigger and bigger and bigger and wetter and wetter and wetter as tears are starting to well up in her gigantic green eyes, and she's like, it's closed, but oh,
well, I'm sorry, dear. I wish I could help you, but unfortunately I can't. It's out of my hands, you understand? The only thing in my hands is a cudgel. I don't have anything else in my hands. And
Coriander
brutality.
And immediately Ada's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Under brutality.
Is
there no way to see it?
Yes, there is. Wait a week. She says very happily.
At that moment, Granny walks up because, her dearest, beloved grandchild is
Granny,
great
the
distress.
museum is closed. It's closed for a week, Granny.
Oh, no,
And she buries her
dearie.
face in Granny's jacket. These are genuine tears that she's not actually putting on this act.
No, I
she's
get it.
very, very sad.
And then, she goes there, and then turns over to the, what was it, a bounder?
The bounder, yeah.
It was suddenly her facial expression shifts from caring and sweet to glaring knife eyes.
And
What
Ada,
did you say to my dear little Coriander?
Well,
It's not
I
her
told her
fault,
was the
Granny.
museum was closed, locked, you might say.
It's not her fault. It's not fair. It's just not fair. We came all this way, and I know we can't stay here for a week, and it's gonna take a whole week for it to open. And we can't stay that long. And I just... And then she turns back to Ada, and she's like, is there no way we could just... What if you were there with us the whole time? Could any bounders just come in with us to just look?
Oh, no, the mayor wouldn't like that very much, I'm afraid.
Could we ask the mayor for permission?
Well, you can try, but the mayor's been a little bit busy. You see, he's been having an argument with the postmaster, which is awkward because he's the postmaster. So he's been having an argument with himself about whether or not he should raise stamp costs, you say. And, it's been a very difficult situation. So he said to all of us, no one gets in or out of that museum for at least another week. I don't want any more headaches. That's what he said. And then he slammed his door so hard that I could hear it rattle in the frame. That was difficult because, he's our boss, you understand. And at this point, they sees you, Cal, and is like, do you know all of these people? Are you also related? Are you an assistant apprentice?
He's my cousin.
Oh,
wait, what is
your
our actual
uncle.
relation?
He's
Sorry,
your uncle.
He's my uncle.
Oh, he's your uncle. I see.
Just along for the ride as well, and trying to help out our friend from Bree.
Did you all come from Bree or from Hobbiton?
Mm.
No, we met on the road. We were coming to see the museum specifically, and we met Titch on the road, and thought that it would make sense for us to help because we knew that the area better. But
look here. Let me just show you for yourselves. And she kind of turns and waves you with her cudgel, the four of you, over to the door of the Matham house, and you can see on the front of it says RENO-VATIONS underway. We apologize for the inconvenience, and then dash the management. And he says, Ada says, you see, there's not much I can do about it. It says right there, renovations underway. And, well, the mayor told us that it's really important that they not be disturbed because once it reopens, it's going to be spectacular. There's rumors that there might be jewels there from what I've heard, but I can't say that for sure. All I know is that this place is, well, it's shut down for at least a week anyway. And as you can see for yourself, it's got locks and windows and trapdoors, and those are locked too. And don't, think that they're not, because they are. And there's no way that anyone gets in or out of that place. Not with us guarding the way, she says proudly.
Is the Matham House standalone, meaning not connected to any other buildings?
Correct.
Or is it kind of butted up against others?
No, it is standalone. And you can actually see when you're kind of looking at it, you'd have to look around more closely, but that there are a number of windows. It's a 2-story building, so there is presumably, the roof sort of hangs down. It might be possible to get up onto the roof. It is standalone, but it does look as if it's theoretically accessible, although at the moment, again, yeah.
Cal's going to step in towards Ada. Is it Ada?
Ada, yes, Ada Burrows.
And he's going to say, just to
Burrows.
forestall any kind of bout of crying, would it be too much of a bother just to have a look around? Could you show us the outside, maybe, just to
the outside.
Satisfy her curiosity? Well, I know it's not anything like going on the inside, but it's something anyway.
Well, I
would like to learn more about the architectural details about Matham House. I have heard and read so many interesting things about it, but I had hoped that there would be a guide.
Let me have you make a persuasion check, and I'm trying to decide if I'll have Cal do this, but Coriander's reaction probably would give you +2 to this check, Cal.
Okay.
And I'm assuming at the moment, I'm making this persuasion, not deception, because I get the impression you genuinely do want to see the outside of the house. For why is different, but
Yeah, no, 100%.
Titch has been slowly leaning towards the door. It's difficult to tell if he's falling asleep, or if he's pressing his ear to the door to listen.
Okay.
But it could be either.
On the persuasion side, Cal, so we're looking at an 11 there, I think.
Yeah.
And so Ada says, I'm not really supposed to be taking people outside and around. It's late for one thing, but even if it were during the day, we're not really supposed to be doing tours. It's not really my thing, you understand.
Is there someone in the town who is a tour guide that we could talk to? Or perhaps, or even someone who is usually, what is the word? The interpreter of the museum, who we might be able to talk to. I just wanted to learn more things.
If you want to talk to someone like that, that's Malva Slowfoot. She's the curator of the place, but at the moment she is very occupied with questions of renovations, and in fact may not even be in the town, at least not the town proper. But she'd be the person to speak to about the inside of that. There are other tour guides, of course. We have one of them, Pod Whitfoot. He's also the mayor and also the postmaster and also the head of the message service. But as I said, he's had a little bit of a
sorry to interrupt. Is it? This is a very curious way of doing things. Are there not many people in Michelle Delving that one person must have so many different roles?
Oh, well, no. You understand that there's a lot of people here. But you see, the mayor, he's was quite able, and he's got a lot of interests, and the mayor sort of likes things to be done in a particular way, so if he just does all the major tasks, then he seldom has arguments with himself. I mean, except with the postmaster. That's been a terrible argument with himself. But usually, he agrees with himself, and that makes it much easier to manage. It streamlines the bureaucracy, you might say.
What was the dude's name again? Pod something?
Pod Whitfoot.
I have not yet really made any kind of very deep study of political systems, but it sort of sounds to me like that is less of a streamlining of bureaucracy and more of a sort of potential path to tyranny. But I actually don't know these things very well, so I'm probably mistaken. I just... The last thing that I want is for us to get into trouble for walking around unsupervised at night. So if you say, Ada, that we can't be, that you, well, maybe I should ask like this. If you don't, if it would be taking you away from your duties to show us around the building, could we have maybe your permission just to look around it and not touch it, not get close to it or anything, but just to admire it? I heard that there was something very special about the eavesdrops, and I just can't see them from here. And I suppose we could wait till the day, but we've come such a long way, and it's such a disappointment.
And Ada, as she's contemplating that, Titch, if you can make a perception check for me, please.
Ooh. 18.
So inside, through the door, you hear a very low, almost a humming sound. It sounds like...
That sounds like snoring.
Sounds like a bear snoring, to be precise.
Right into the door, you hear... Roar! No. But yes, you hear that rhythmic sound. Ada sort of thinks about it and kind of rubs her chin and says, well, I don't suppose it could probably hurt if you're just outside, just looking from a distance, you understand? But I can't have you do it on your own. So if you want, I'll go as a group. We'll just take one big, large circle around it, and then I'll bid you on your way, and you can head back to the Hobbiton and an open field or wherever you're going, or you can go spend most of your savings at the go get a room at the Golden Plate, and I'll continue my rounds. So how about that?
That sounds wonderful, Ada. Thank you so much. You've been such a tremendous help. I appreciate this so much.
It's all right. It's all right. Think nothing of it. Oh, all right. Well, let's be off then. Let's make sure that we keep our distance here. And she... literally almost as if she's like a mime, like feeling for like a barrier, like make sure that she paces out a number of steps away from the house, and then sort of literally almost does this as you're walking around. The house you can see now, as you were kind of looking around it, as I said, it's a two-story structure. However, it does sit on top of a hill. And you notice two things. First of all, the windows, and there are a number of them, but they all appear to be barred. You can see that they're actually shuttered and barred. However, there are two things of interest. One is that there looks like, although you can't tell for certain, what might be a small skylight on the roof. But you would need to get closer to see if that also is barred or not. You can't quite tell, but it is definitely a skylight on the roof of some kind. The other thing is that you can see in the side of the hill on which the museum sits is an old door. Looks considerably older than the actual Matham house itself. And again, is sort of almost set into the hill on which the building itself sits. Other than that, you see a bunch of windows that are barred, and you see one door, which is the front door, and that older door that I mentioned that's in the side of the hill, and maybe this skylight on the roof.
Actually curious, so what I've been imagining as you've described this is kind of like a standalone building. But is it actually like a... So is it like, but is it like embedded in the hill like hobbit holes?
No,
okay.
It is not. No, it is standing on top of almost it's more than a hillock. I don't want to understate it, but it's sort of on this gentle rise. It is on top of that gentle rise, but is not embedded. As I mentioned, actually, a lot of Michelle Delving has houses that are more kind of exposed than than good God-fearing hobbits ought to have in a hobbit hole. There's a few of those, but a lot more of these standalone homes.
Okay, cool. Can Coriander make a perception check? She's particularly curious about the windows. Just the way that Ada talked about the windows made it seem like maybe there was a bit of protesting too much, and she was like squinting at the windows.
Sure. Although, what exactly are you trying to see with your check here for the windows?
Well, what exactly did she say? She was like, they're definitely barred. They're definitely locked. Nobody's getting in or out about them. So they look like they are barred at a glance. I'm just wondering if she can squint at them, if there is something unusual about the way that they're barred, if there is something about that that's perhaps more for show than something else.
Let me have you do a perception check then, just to see what you can determine from your vantage point.
Okay.
Since she's keeping you 10 to 15 feet, yeah. And so Titch kind of sort of stumbles back from the door.
That's a 6.
Definitely windows, and you definitely think that you're pretty confident there are bars on them. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So she does this with you.
Did we find the source of the noise?
I think only Titch heard the noise.
Only Titch heard it.
Because he had his ear pressed against the thing. Let me think what else. Well, while they're doing these rounds, Coriander is going to keep on asking Ada questions about herself and say like, have you always lived in Michelle Delving? Did you have you been here? Were you born and raised here?
Oh, close by. I actually was born in Little Delving and made my way over to Michelle Delving, where I thought I could make my way in the world as well, starting as a bounder. I've decided I'm going to pursue a career in law enforcement. Eventually, I hope to rise to the level of sheriff, and maybe someday I too can be like the mayor and the head of the sheriffs and the post office and the message service and quick post and also the mayor. But that's down the line. Right now, I'm just sort of building my credentials.
That's very ambitious.
Oh, well, thank you. I try. I didn't just want to be a farmer. Not that I have anything against that mind, but I always thought it was good to have a good solid wooden cudgel in your hand as a method of, persuasion when needed.
Oh, did you make this cudgel yourself? May I see it?
Oh, certainly. Now you'll notice that's good quality, high-level oak there, and starts like giving you all these details about like how the thing is made and shaped and formed and all this stuff.
Titch.
Go ahead, Titch.
Oh.
And then Granny.
Well, Granny's been quiet for a while, so let her go.
No, like while Coriander is keeping Ada busy, Granny would like nudge Bolo to Bolo. I'm saying.
I knew it was gonna happen. I was waiting to see who of us would crack first. Yep. I thought it was gonna be me, but
would nudge Caloran. Boloran, yes, Boloran. No, would nudge Caloran like subtly in the side to like walk off, take a look around while Ada is distracted.
Bolo walked, so Callo ran.
Oh,
I'm sorry. No, you're not.
Writing that one down.
Is Lavender trying to sneak off with Cal, or
no. Just like because Ada has been like barely paying attention to Cal at all, right?
Yeah.
So
I'll.
So he has like the best chance to like sneak off.
I'll kind of look as if I'm interested in something in another direction, and just let the group kind of wander on past me, sort of thing, and see if I'm noticed.
Okay. Let's see. Let me have you make a stealth check for me, please. Let's see if you are noticed.
Roll very high.
Yes.
No.
I did not.
Wow, we are rolling so badly.
Let's get these out of the way now. Well, it's an opposed roll, so let's see whether or not.
Well, but does she get like a?
It's a 6.
It's a 6
like
and
a
a
malus?
7.
What's that called again? Like a minus because of like being distracted.
Being distracted.
Oh,
Was this a contested roll? Oh, right, of course. Yeah,
it
never
is.
mind.
It is a contested roll, and as a consequence, she gets to roll a disadvantage. But I'm here to tell you that she did roll better than a 6. So she kind of is like looks back and is like, oh, now don't you got to keep up with the group now. You can't stay down there by yourselves. This is coming to an end of this tour anyway. I've got to get back to my rounds, you know. And so,
yeah, I'll catch up.
Coriander has continued. She is so genuinely interested in everything about Ada and just likes her so much, and is just like, what else is she going to ask? Is she going to be, now this is perhaps a slightly. May I ask you a slightly forward question?
Well, I suppose forward. Yeah, I suppose. Sure.
Do you have any family?
Well, sure. There's my dad back in Little Delving. I send him a little bit of my wages in his direction, and
That's so beautiful.
My ma has been gone for a while, so it's just my dad and me and my younger brother. Well, he's a little he's a bit of a scoundrel, you know. He's a bit of a he's not a bad fellow, but he gets too much time with the lads at the tavern and not enough time, actually doing some good work. And so my dad always says that I was the one that got all the responsibility in the family, and it's really important, you know, and kind of
because you're the eldest, of course.
If you wish them to continue living, let us into the house.
What?
It was the bear.
It
I
was
swear
the
to
bear.
God,
Yeah,
it was the bear.
Coriander says that must be very difficult. It must be very difficult to have such a passion for the law while your kin are have no regard for it. That must be a bit of a tense situation to have when you go home.
Well, it's difficult sometimes, yeah. I mean, you understand sometimes it's important, you know, that we be honest with each other. I mean, that family members don't, you know, pretend to be something they're not, or, try to pull one over, the wool over one's eyes. It's important to listen to your family, listen to your parents and your grandparents.
Clearly your father's not a used car salesman. Sorry,
it's important to do all those things. And so I've tried to set a good example for him. I hope that eventually he can become a bounder too. The problem is you give him a cudgel and he'd be more likely to, beat up somebody when he got into a fight with him, drunken fight. So it hasn't been easy. But, we're learning every day. And now that I've got this good job and now that I'm reliable and all that, I feel better about things. And maybe now, I'll get a promotion and all that, as long as, as long as that museum is preserved and the Matham House is kept safe, well, I imagine I'm going to get the credit for that. So, yeah.
I have one more question for you, if that's all right, about the museum.
One question from me, one from Coriander.
Okay.
Was there ever a sort of famous feature of Matham House inside, a staircase or a chandelier or something like that?
No, in fact, probably
toilet
most
seats
of the
cover made of stinging nettle.
Most of the Matham, most of the sort of museums that the hobbits have. I mean, for a long time, of course, the hobbits didn't even understand the point of having a museum. But it was finally they were prevailed on to start showing things off because it could help with occasional touristry and stuff like that, and because it was important to maintain these things. So the museum as such was not it wasn't designed to be a museum from the very beginning, so it's just kind of like a house. There's no particular structure or anything that's unusual about it, other than the fact that it does have, you've heard, a lot inside it, a lot of different things. But yeah.
I was wondering if there's something that she might have heard of as a thing that what she wants to ask is what is the nature of the renovations? What is actually being done? And I was going to have her ask it in the sense of I've heard that there's this cool thing. They're not going to take that away, are they? Essentially.
Right. And so when you explain that, they say, Ada says, oh, no. What I understand is that they're actually making it more secure. I find this ridiculous myself, but I have heard tell, there are rumors that there might be the possibility of people coming in and well, stealing something from inside the Matham house, if you can believe that. And so they're basically trying to make it more secure. Once the renovations are done, they say it'll be impossible to get anything outside of there, even small as a mouse, out of the house, out of the Matham house, without permission. So
why would they want to keep a mouse in the museum?
Well, just an expression. I meant not an actual
I see.
mouse. But
Okay.
the point is that they're going to keep it nice and secure. By next week,
how
you'd have a hard time getting a hurricane in there.
But I'm so confused. How could it be more secure than it currently is? How many bounders are there? I mean, it seems like there must be, I don't know, 20, 30 of you? I don't know. How many are there?
Well, that's what I say. There's a number of us, and with us, I mean, I can't imagine that there'd be anyone, even if they were inclined to take something from the Matham house. Getting into the Matham house, well, I mean, you got all of us looking after it, don't you? I think that it's unnecessary myself, but I think security is already handled, as has been proven, but unfortunately, others think different, and they think that it needs to be super secure. So once they're done with that, well, it'd be impossible to get anything out of that place. But even as it is, we've got it secure already.
Is this coming from the mayor? Does the mayor want it to be more secure?
Well, you see, the mayor is the head of security services here, and it thinks it's important to set a good example. Also, the postmaster has been talking about increasing security, and the mayor is going to be facing a re-election campaign, and all of them.
Is the mayor also the sheriff?
He's the head of the sheriffs. Yeah. That's right.
Interesting.
So they've got a lot to do, basically, and they've made it a priority to make sure that it's secure.
Can you tell me? This is for my own information. There are. Let's see. I can't personally imagine it being more secure than it already is with you patrolling it, Ada. You're so very good at your job, but
thanks.
I mean. There are, let's see, we saw, how many bounders have we seen out of curiosity?
Probably 5 or so. A lot more seem to be on kind of the main roads, but there are definitely at least 3 or 4 that you've seen wandering around or near the Matham house, although not all at the same time. It's not like perimeter guards or whatever, but yeah.
We've seen, so many bounders. I mean, I just don't understand. How could it, what am I trying to ask? How many bounders does it take for the mayor to feel like the building is secure?
Well, I think I've heard this one.
You see, I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think that we have plenty enough bounders to preserve the safety of this place, but it's just very important to the mayor and to others, I suppose, that the Matham house not be at risk. Theft, from ne'er-do-wells and ruffians and those types. And so we have a lot of bounders, but, the mayor just wants to be extra sure. But I think that we've got this covered. I mean, like I said, who would go into the house by themselves without leave so they could take something? I can't even imagine any real hobbits who would do something like that.
Calvin?
There's no one by that name here, Titch. Did you mean Caloran?
Are you referring to Caloran?
Yes. And he kind of jams the butt of his spear into the dirt. Like, could you hold that for a second?
Of course.
And so he kneels while this exchange is going on back and forth. He scoots over closer, of course, to have Cal hold his spear, and he kind of glances over at Granny and gives just the slightest kind of jerk in his head, like, come over here, kind of thing. And he kneels down and starts adjusting the straps on his boots to tighten them down and everything, waiting for Granny and Cal to be within close earshot.
Yeah, Granny scoots up.
Coriander will continue to chatter away at Ada. Also, I don't know if it's she's not going to ask again if it's not forthcoming and stuff, but she would quite like to know the number of bounders that there are around there.
Yeah, kind of vague. You hear 20, 30, maybe 40, maybe 15. Ada seems a little vague on the numbers, but from what you've seen, you would guess at least 15 bounders,
Cool.
but you don't know for sure.
Okay.
And so Titch is just kind of like, there's someone sleeping inside.
If we're, I assume we're like quiet enough, far enough that we won't be overheard.
At the moment, no. You would not be heard.
Yeah, okay. Cal says, didn't we hear something about dogs?
Not a dog snoring.
Dogs snore.
I know, I'm saying that wasn't a dog snoring.
Yeah, how do you know?
Because I've had dogs before. I know what they sound like when they snore, and that's not a dog snore.
You have had all the dogs?
Every dog. When I'm not a gate guard, I run a fostering agency.
And I listen to every single one. While they're
Absolutely.
My given name was Dog Bow, and
What do you suppose it was?
I think there's somebody sleeping in the main room. So if you're going to case the joint, which is what I was trying to enable you to do.
Quick note, by the way, Titch, it is conceivable that it could have been an animal.
Oh, please.
But
Hobbits aren't animals.
Yeah, it could have been.
Dogs aren't dangerous!
Oh, wow, yeah. It's definitely inside his woundwort.
Right.
It could have been an animal, but it was kind of echoey a little bit, and so it's hard to get a read on what
Clearly, it's a hollow dog.
Single creature. Yeah, hollow dog. A single creature, though, for sure.
I ain't no hollow back dog.
Oh, wow. I ain't no hollow back dog.
There you go. That's the one. That's the one.
And about time. That was probably quiet enough. It wouldn't get anyway. So yeah, just information.
Duly noted.
Go ahead.
Oh, he just says duly noted. Okay. Good.
Yeah,
it's good to know.
Yeah, Granny nods slightly.
And so, right about the point, a pause comes up between what's her name and Ada. The Titch, finishes tightening the straps on his boots and stands up and takes his spear back and is like, so speaking of all the other bounders, they're over this way, right? And he just starts going.
Mm-hmm.
And just starts walking off like, you said they were over there, that's where I'm going. And he just takes off.
Okay.
Is it just generally away from town?
Kind of. Well, back towards where we met her. And hopefully kind of skirting nearer the house than she's comfortable with.
Okay. And she's sort of, because you're towards the back of the house when this discussion is happening. And so she's like, all right. Well, listen, it might be best if we all go in that direction now, actually. I think you've seen enough of the outside of this house. And, it's getting on. And now it is, in fact, fairly dark outside.
And Titch is like walking along, like looking at the ground, like right where the wall meets the ground, like right there. He's like scanning the foundation and everywhere near the place. Just and the bounders come.
Perception for me, please, as you're doing
it. Granny is like purposefully trying to fall behind, playing the whole like, oh, I'm old and slow thing, right?
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, Titch, you're just like, there's the wall and there's the ground, and I see.
Well, he's looking for bear tracks, so it makes sense that he doesn't find any.
He does not find any bear tracks of any kind. And Granny, so you said you're kind of going along behind. Are you also looking at the house though, or no?
Yes.
Okay. So I would have you make a perception check for me too, please.
Oh, hi.
I'm trying.
Stop trying, start doing.
Oh yeah. Aha! See?
I trust those old eyes.
Exactly. You're pretty confident, Granny, as you go along, that indeed all of these windows do look to be locked and barred and probably relatively recently. I mean, the bars look like they're pretty sturdy. The only things that are not barred are the front door, the side door, and then that little skylight. And you can see that there are places where the roof dips low enough that theoretically someone could get up onto the roof. Theoretically, it's close enough that there are several spots where that could happen.
So when you say little skylight, how little is it? Like
Can't tell from here. You'd need to get up on the roof to see, but it's like it might be big enough. It would certainly be big enough to allow hobbits through. Well, I mean, you'd have to get closer to see, but it's big enough that you can see it from where you are. So presumably, it would be big enough to allow hobbits access. You don't know if Titch could get in that way or not.
But Coriander probably could.
Winnie the Pooh and the thing.
Right, exactly. Oh, bother.
I think one last thing that Coriander will be bending conversation towards is to ask Ada what her favorite part of being a bounder is, and say like what do you like about this job? Is there anything that makes it kind of like, I mean, do you have to stay up all night?
Oh, yeah, but we take it in shifts, and we're able to get sleep part of the other time. It means that second breakfast is really second dinner for us, honestly. So it's all kind of a different setup. It's not the best. I'd rather have a regular sleep schedule, but I do enjoy the work. I enjoy feeling like I'm helping people, keeping things secure, making sure that no one gets into places where they shouldn't be. It's really great. You get to interact with the people, and it's that. Plus, it's paid, and I can send that back to my dad, so that's always a good thing too.
Oh, Ada, before today, I never once gave any thought to the possibility of life as a bounder, but you're just so warm and kind and lovely, and it has just been such a pleasure chatting with you that I'm honestly thinking about this completely alternate way of life. I mean, you must sleep during the day, and you must be awake at night, and I don't know, I've never carried something like a stick so big as that, and I don't know, you've given me so much to think about, and I'm so grateful to you for showing us around when the museum was shut, and I'm sure it's going to be very lovely when it's open, but I just want to tell you how much I appreciate this, and I appreciate you.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure, and I wish I had all such interactions like this were this pleasant, and when you get a little older, you should apply and be a bounder where we could use people like you. Like I said, you get your own cudgel, there's decent benefits, multiple meals a day, all those things all paid for, and of course you have the feeling of being close and connected to your community. There's rumors that you might have some sports late at night, as they're doing some more bounder outreach, you might say. So they're trying to make that. There's the Bounders Athletic League, it's ball for short. We thought that was pretty clever. So
that is very
all
clever.
Part of that. That's all part of the mix, and so it's worth it, and you should definitely check it out. But now I've got to be on my way, just try not to be caught out, after nightfall too much. People may not understand, and I wouldn't want there to be any kind of misunderstandings. And in a week from now, you can feel free to go into the Matham House as per normal.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
all we have to do is wait for 5 years for Coriander to become a bounder, and then
It's a very long
at that
play.
point.
Yeah.
We can search for the bear in the meantime.
And
the quest for
Meanwhile,
the bear.
Granny will have died of old age.
Oh no!
Day
No!
150 of Bear Adventures.
now, speaking of the bear, where are we at right now?
So you were now at the front, basically, of the Matham
Come full
House.
circle.
Excellent.
And sort of back towards the road, heading back.
And
towards the road.
so Titch stops, and his head snaps up, and his eyes go wide for a second. He's like, "That's it." And he looks at Ada and is like, "You said that these renovations, nothing will be able to get out of there."
Well, that's what they're intended to do. That's what they told us.
"That's where the bear is." And he makes for the front door.
Oh, wait, now you can't go in right now. It's locked.
And he just, that's a likely story. And he goes.
Titch.
And
Ada, I'm so sorry.
And Ada kind of like rushes ahead. And, well, no. Now wait just a minute. Now, first of all, I don't know if there's a bear in there, but if there was a bear in there,
you know that there's not a bear in there?
I don't know that there is one, but I've never seen a bear inside it, and I have been inside myself. And secondly, it's locked right now, and you can't get in there. And so
it's locked. You're trying to keep the bear inside.
Well,
did Titch actually try to open the door?
No,
because at this point, like Ada has kind of like sort of jumped in front, that sort of thing, and it's like, now look, now I've been more than generous with you, and you can't just get in there on your own, and
you could take us in.
No, I'm not allowed to do that. I already told you.
Then how are you supposed to do your job?
I'm supposed to keep people from getting into the place in the first place. I can do my job
because there's a bear in there.
There's no bear in there.
How do you know?
Because the bear would be breaking down the walls and banging against it. Bears don't just stay in one place.
Thus the renovations?
What? Oh. No, renovations are not about a bear. Those
you
would
have
be
to
bear
admit,
ovations.
Ada, it's a very
totally
compelling
different.
story. What if the bear were asleep? What if the bear? Do you know we recently actually slept in a barn, and we helped the owner of the barn get an owl out of there because the owl was hooting and was preventing the lovely donkey that was very precious to the farmer to not getting any sleep. And so we were able to do that. If you're having bear problems, we can probably help.
We don't have any bear problems here. We haven't had a bear in Michelle Delving in who knows how long. We had a wolf problem a couple of years ago, but we took care of that. Now there's nothing to worry about. The Bounders have got this settled.
Now. Statistically speaking, considering that you haven't had a bear here in a long time, does mean that it is more likely that a bear is to show up.
Even if it did, it's not going to show up in the middle of the Matham house. There's been no bear that's gone in there, I tell you.
Has there been a bear in there before?
No, not that I've ever heard of.
Speaking, that raises the chances of a bear being in there now.
Statistically,
Granny is very good at math.
What? And
she has an excellent head for figures.
All of these attempts at distracting this woman so that somebody can sneak off and go and try to break into this place are not fucking working.
Door. I wanted to actually, you know what? Yeah, fair enough. Like, I think I honestly thought we were going to try and open this door because it's unlocked apparently, but I don't know that. So, but
I kind of thought this was like about scooping the place out, and then like once Ada like drops us off at the inn, like then we sneak out during.
Yeah, that's kind of more what I was imagining too. So, anyway, I think that Coriander is gonna say, Titch is this. Look, I know the bear is very important to you, but I think that it's best if we just go and have a good rest in the inn, and we can start this fresh, and maybe we can talk to some of the people in the inn about the bear.
Because that worked so well last time, and he's basically got his spear pointed not towards Ada, but just kind of like near the door, like he's like any second now it's gonna come out, right? And he's just.
Well, what if? Oh, Ada, what if? So, okay, hear me out. Titch is very, very good at being a guard. What if? Would you like his help to join the Bounders, and maybe he could help to keep? I mean, if it sounds like he just wants to stay here and make sure the bear doesn't come out, and I feel like if you would humor him about that, it would go a long way towards helping secure Matham House, and also maybe just make him feel better. He really needs a win.
Well, I can't listen. He's got to apply if he wants to be a Bounder, and also, well, not to put too fine a point on it, but he's too big. I mean, Bounders are hobbits. They're not men of Bree.
Well, he's a very small man of Bree.
Size doesn't matter.
He's not. He is actually only 1 foot taller than
right.
him.
Yeah.
That's true, but they seem to put a very big privilege on the fact that he's not a hobbit. They say look, if you want to do, here's what I can do. All right. So you come with me just to the front of the stone path here, and kind of the stone path again connects the house with the main sort of the main road, maybe 30, 40 feet is the path. And says, you can go to the front here of the path, right? And you can sit here. I'll let the other bounders know that you're standing there, stopping anyone from coming through to deal with the bear. And he kind of looks at you, Coriander, and does she looks at you and does this elaborate, like, type of thing.
You're winking the wrong eye, Rocket.
Exactly, which Titch and everyone else could see easily.
Mm-hmm.
And then being like, and then everything will be safe and canny. And I'm sure that the mayor will be happy to hear of the fact that we have someone, guarding things tomorrow morning. So I can do that. And of course, you're not allowed to go down that stone path, mind, or anywhere close. But you could just be by the edge of the stone path, and that would be something I'm sure they'd allow.
That sounds like a wonderful compromise by a very even-tempered and thoughtful hobbit. Thank you, Ada. I don't think you can make any argument against that.
And she seems very satisfied with herself.
Thank you so much, Ada.
That's right. Just follow me out to the path here. And
okay.
She kind of turns turns, but is clearly looking back at Titch, like, now come on now, like sort of trying to encourage a dog, come
I figured Titch is just standing there with the spear pointed down, and she's like in front of him, kind of sort of pushing him backwards while he's like looking around, like
very gently, very gently,
pushing him back,
very gently. So does this all the way to the end of the stone path until you're all standing there, and then says, and she says, right, well, again, don't forget to stop by the Golden Plate if you want to find some place to stay the night. Otherwise, I'll let the other bounders know that you've got this path all set. No one's gonna get past you. And she kind of, to each of you in turn, Coriander, like, wink, Cal, wink with the other eye, Granny, wink with the other eye, and then when she comes to you, Titch,
even distribution,
when she comes to Titch, she's like, right, and sort of like awkwardly salutes in your direction, and then, all right then, well, have a good night, and don't get in trouble. 3 o'clock, it all's well, and wanders off, and she's like, oh no, it's not the time, is it? It's actually not that late. Never mind, I meant 8 o'clock and all's well, and wanders off.
They're similar shapes, 8 and 3.
Leaving the 4 of you standing there. And even from where you are, you can see the bobbing light of her torch, but also several others. There's no one right on top of you. You can see that there are some distance down the road, but they seem to be on kind of regular patrols.
So as she's still within earshot, but Titch basically, I really want to thank you all for helping me. It's been wonderful to meet all of you and get to know. Have a good stay at the inn.
Thank you. We'll bring you something nice tomorrow.
Thank you.
And all right. So Ada, is Ada accompanying us back to the inn, or can we just make our way? Great.
No.
Okay, so Coriander is gonna huddle with Granny and Caloran and say, what did you guys learn?
I learned that apparently you want to join the law enforcement. I thought
I never said that.
This.
I did not say that I'm gonna join it. I said that she has opened my mind to new paths, which is completely correct. I don't like lying, Granny. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
So the question. The door that we saw that was kind of in the hill, it was in the hill that the Matham House was on. Is that right?
That's correct.
So theoretically, there could be some cellars that might be an access to
possible.
That type of thing. So Cal takes special note of that. He says, I wonder if that door might not be our best way in. We could at least get in and see what's what from there, and perhaps find a path into the house itself without being seen by all those bounders.
I saw a bit of a skylight, but I don't really know more about it. I was kind of hoping to clamber up onto the roof. Maybe we should do these things at the same time. I had another thought, Caloran. I was wondering, you have ways to make maps with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wondered if, should I manage to, you know, have a little chat with the map and see if it wants to actually leave the museum. If would you be able to maybe make a replica or like a copy of it of some kind, and maybe we could put that in its place just so that it doesn't look like we've taken anything, and also maybe the case might be sad and lonely if there wasn't a map inside it. I'm assuming there was a case. I've said the word case so many times it's just become kind of fun, but yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. What do you think?
Yeah, Cal was thinking along the same lines. He says, well, tomorrow perhaps I could try to find some ink, because we don't know, I don't think, what color was used for the map itself, and I only have one in my kit. So we could get that, and then I wonder also if you or Granny has maybe any thoughts about distressing some paper that we might be able to make it look like an old map, because if we use fresh paper, it would be a giveaway.
I've heard, Granny, didn't you tell me? Oh, that was the, well, sorry, go on. You were going to say something.
No, out of character.
Oh.
Has Granny ever actually seen this map before? To which I would like to refer to her Rhymes of Lore ability.
Yeah, I don't know that she would donation for the distressed paper fund. Thank you, Dragon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know that she ever would have seen this specific map. Although it's possible, because you've certainly probably been, I would imagine Granny has been to the Matham House before, and thus may have seen this map before when she was there. But I don't think Granny would have seen necessarily this map exactly. Not necessarily. Certainly not outside the Matham House, for sure.
So,
is there something? I mean, but Bilbo knew this map, right?
Yes.
Did he like tell us anything about the color of ink on it, or like the quality, like how to recognize it essentially?
Yes, I would think so, and spoke to Cal a fair bit about it too, about the kind of the look of it, kind of this sort of probably kind of faded reddish lines would be the things that would probably be tracing out the various roads and things like that. And it's of the Shire, so presumably would have, little pictures and things like that of landmarks and so on in the Shire. But kind of a faded, dark reddish ink is what had put this thing together in the first hand, and did talk to Cal about what it was that it was supposed to have looked. Supposedly made by the old Took himself, this thing as well, which means that it's probably a little eccentric as maps go, in terms of what is, because the old Took himself was just a little bit eccentric. So.
And by chance, is the ink that I have in my cartographer's kit, is that sort of a standard thing that has been adopted through time, so that I have something that
the issue is not so much the color, because you can probably replicate that. The issue is the nature of the faded quality of the ink. That's something which is sort of, the way to do that is time, right? It's not easy to kind of replicate that without particular techniques, although you could certainly make an effort to try.
Well, time or the herbalism qualities that some people possess that can actually, like I was thinking about like the distressing paper thing being something that you can do with tea, for instance, right? Like you steep paper and and I feel like if Granny has herbalist knowledge, she can probably figure out a way to like leach the color from ink in a way that would mimic that.
Possibly.
Or, I mean, this is player knowledge, not character knowledge, so feel free to override that. But what if we simply use something as ink that is usually not used as ink because it's not bright enough or not whatever? So, like, for example, we could just water down regular red ink to make it less opaque, or could, while it is still drying, could like gently
dab at it.
Dab it.
Yes,
Blot
that is
it.
the word. Thank you. Like dab at it with
Right.
like a cloth
like a
or
blot,
something.
blot it.
Toss salt on it. That's a thing that works.
That's a thing to dry. Yeah, sand. You know.
I mean, I have red ink here. I could just try shit out right now at my desk if you would want to.
I think all of these like are techniques that like by their powers combined, you know, that Cal and Granny
We
could
are
definitely
Captain's
figure out.
larceny.
Hey, Captain's forgery.
Ooh,
Forgery.
But yeah,
but
like,
yeah.
Granny probably would be able to like either already has something in her stash that she could makeshift like some really crappy red ink from that would be faded enough once used, or we already have red ink on us and just like water it down, or like mix it with like, I don't know, lemon juice so that it like partially fades.
Is this to kind of replicate the map though?
Yes.
So you would need to be able to draw it, you know, convincingly, fairly quickly, right?
Well, my thought, I thought like of potentially two ways of doing this. Either to have stealing the map happen sufficiently swiftly and unobtrusively that like Coriander could just bring it to Cal and so that he can copy it.
Ocean's 11 style.
Yeah, and then she
Have it
can
put
like
back.
and put the forgery back. So that is one potential way of doing it. Or otherwise, if we wanted to make the switcheroo happen at the same time, to just, you know, draw a map of the Shire, which is something Caloran can do, and have it look kind of old and like aged and old-timey and stuff. But knowing that there are peculiarities about the map, like like I think that
Stylistic choices.
Yeah, just size of it. I mean, presumably
Yeah.
Bilbo could have communicated a lot of those things. But yeah. So I feel like either of those are on the table.
It doesn't need to be a good forgery. It just needs to be good enough to like fool people long enough into believing that the map.
Just long enough for us to get away.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Like
we
this could be
just-
found out 2 weeks from now, and it would be fine. But yeah.
Yeah, like we could just sneak Cal into the museum at nighttime.
Well, this was the thing. I was sort of imagining that it would probably be easier for Coriander to sneak in and out, and that there's more risk of doing that twice, but that she is small, sneaky, and so on. But
Well, the two of you could sneak in while Titch and Granny stand.
First, we could make a
Watch.
hollowed out bear, and then we leave the
Perhaps
bear
a giant
outside
Trojan
of the.
bear, yeah.
Yeah.
oh my
Yes,
god.
and then we like sit all four of us behind a hill.
Then me, Sir Lancelot, Guinevere, and I. Who? Me, Sir Oh.
Oh my god, I just realized the most natural thing for Titch to do here is actually to raise the alarm and say that there's the bear, that he's seen the bear. And then he can get the bounders to go towards wherever the bear is.
Oh, he may have given up the game
way
already,
easier. Granny fakes having like some kind of pain issue, like, you know, she pretends to have fallen, and then like, you know,
Seizure.
everybody's like, oh no, the old lady has fallen. What do?
I have this image
Mm-hmm.
of you all doing all these plans at once. So while Titch is like, the bear, and Granny's like, ah, you know, it's like, it's just chaos, you know.
I'm rolling a Trojan bear towards the.
Exactly. While Coriander
You're
is Mission
supposed to be
Impossible
inside,
it
Cal.
on the roof and like, you know,
Yeah.
and also a brilliant work of utterly splitting the party beyond all capable.
Oh, 100%. How much? I mean, it's such a small area. I just feel like splitting the party is just like giving each other a little room to breathe. But yeah. Anyway, so I'm imagining, you know, for plausible deniability. So that's the main thing to me. Do we want to check into a very expensive room and you know, have that be an alibi essentially, and then let Coriander do some sneaking and see what happens, or something else? Wow, I hope that's not the storm, Tren. Humming over you. Okay.
Bomb cyclone knocking at the door.
Yeah, it's like
And letting in.
Hello, Bear here.
Bears are welcome in this house.
So Cal would like to either on the way, and if I don't find it by then, after the inn, I want to look for a paper and ink place. Like a place that would sell for personal communication, stuff like that.
Good news, you do think that there is such a place. Bad news, it's closed.
Yeah, I figured it would be tonight. I'm thinking maybe we're not doing this tonight anyway. We could probably use the day tomorrow to really solidify the plan, because I don't think we have a good plan right now. But if we're going to do the forgery, I think I want a couple different kinds of paper. We want to think about our distressing technique and inks and that sort of thing.
Heat, sand. Done.
Citrons from the south. Oak gall.
Well, no, oak gall makes black ink, so.
I know.
So
the map might have a border.
Does Granny happen to have something in her herbalism kit that could used for making some crappy red ink?
Old Toby.
Yes.
I was actually just
Deep
looking
tobacco.
to see to try to find herbalism kit and also cost and things like this. Hold on a second.
Here, herbalism kit.
Just use some of your tobacco. Not much, just a little bit.
Yeah, steep it.
Does that make red ink though?
Yeah, I think
Depends on the tobacco.
what I might do is I might sort of customize this ruling, so to speak. I might have you do what is a medicine check at disadvantage to see if you can kind of retrofit this, because it's not designed for this. But I think you might be able to kind of jury rig it so that it will work well enough for the purposes of what you're discussing.
Well, alternatively, she might be able to track down some woad in the area, right?
Possibly.
Fred goes, no.
No,
Why
just-
do you know?
Just steep the tobacco in red wine and thin it out.
Oh, red wine. Oh, that's smart.
Or
Oh, you can get
cast,
some of that at the end.
cast some sort of spell, and the incantation is by the pricking of my thumb. God, this plan is fucking dumb. And just put some blood in the thing and then stir it around, and there's some red. Let's go with wine.
Yes. Let's do the wine. No,
My
wine
goodness.
is actually really clever. Yeah. Let's do that. Probably can get some red wine at the ink.
And
It's the ink.
I do
it's
have
the ink.
I do have a calligraphy set, so we have some ink to sort of start with too. So we're
That's black
probably
ink.
modifying rather
There
than
might be red
starting
ink,
from
and
scratch.
there's often red ink in
And blue.
calligraphy sets. Yeah. I will say too that I love the idea that someone could discover that the map is a forgery by going
Smells like
wine,
Wine?
wine and tobacco. Who's been smoking next to this map?
And then I was
And
gonna say,
drinking.
and then you see just Titch done up like some fop, and he's got wine in a pipe. He's like, I beg your pardon.
And so on. Yes,
Plausible
exactly.
deniability and diplomatic immunity.
Diplomatic immunity. Yes, yes.
Romantic community.
I haven't even seen that film, but Stu has quoted that line to me so many
Uh.
times. Mr. something or other, why am I standing in plastic? As well, and so on. Anyway, yes.
Okay, so as I understand it, the group is going to head to the inn, the Golden Plate, try to get a room, and is going to either overnight or early the next day try to put together this forged map, and then is going to set up their plan to the next night try to get into the Matham house either through the skylight or through the door. Is that the door in the side of the hill?
Yeah.
Is
And
that
also,
more or less
while
right?
on the way to the inn, God, I almost said Ingham. Granny. is gonna grab a handful of sand from the path.
Okay.
To take with her.
Okay.
Like just puts it in like her handkerchief and like rolls it up.
Ties it up. Okay.
Am I just remembering though that like did Granny not notice that the front door and back door are not locked?
The front door, you don't know if the front door is locked or not. It may now. It has a the sign on it about renovations. You don't know whether or not it's locked for sure because you didn't. The only one who actually got close to it was Titch, who was like leaning against it and who didn't actually try the door but was listening at it. As it
okay, I thought you said that. I thought Granny had a successful perception check that told her that like the windows have bars on them, but the doors are actually unlocked.
No, like you can't tell the door is locked or not unless there's like a padlock.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And there was no obvious lock on the outside.
Oh, gotcha.
But,
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing the tobacco and wine thing that Tren mentioned to make some ink and use some and sand to make some distress paper.
The only thing I'd suggest, in addition to this, is that I like what Coriander would say is that she thinks the best time to try and do the actual heisting is in the early hours of the morning, like at 4 a.m. or something like that, like before sun has come up. But well, perhaps the she doesn't know exactly what time the shift change is, but she knows that guards will probably tend to be sleepier at that time of morning, so she is all for basically going up to the inn, taking a quick nap, and then waking up at a certain point in order to sneak out the window or something and go explore.
Coriander, dearie.
Yes,
How do
Granny?
you know this?
No, what? It's just common
the
sense.
Thing about...
Well, I was talking to Ada for quite some time, and she told me that, they take different shifts, and I know that it must take a lot of energy to, patrol as vigorously as she was doing. And so, yeah, I'm just I try to be observant, Granny. You've always encouraged me to be observant.
I suppose. Well then.
Something else to consider.
I love you too, dear.
Yes,
Now
Titch?
go sleep.
Oh, Titch was gonna say something.
Well, if the house is closed for renovations, then at least for the next week, then the map's probably not going to be on primary display. They're not going to be people looking at it every day for at least the next week. So it could give us a grace period before someone really checks to see if it is exactly as detailed as it should be.
That's true. I think so long as we do this quickly and quietly, I think that maybe that's true. Although I have to say, I do find the timing of these renovations quite suspicious.
Right when we show up. So if we try to make the map, well, Cal says we should have a map on hand. But if we have time and we have the tools that we need with us, we should try to make an exact copy if we can. And if not, we'll leave the copy that we'll make tonight.
All right. Cool.
So what about the dogs?
Oh wait, were we warned specifically that there were dogs? I can't remember now.
Yeah, I think Bilbo mentioned them on our first meeting. I seem to recall.
Well, I mean, the obvious thing to do is to get some meat, spice it with some sleepy flowers that you find in a forest maze, and then feed it to them.
I think that makes sense. Coriander's suggestion.
Monkey Island 2 reference.
Hey.
Wow, that's like I thought that was obvious.
Oh no, I mean Stu actually is the one who loves Monkey Island in this household. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but yeah, Coriander's suggestion was going to be to douse herself in pepper, so that to disguise her scent.
To the dogs?
No, to make the doggos sneeze.
and not like her. Pepper is a very not good for the dogs. Would not like the pepper smell.
Do they run from
Wait,
it?
Granny has a dog. What does Granny know about dogs?
Yeah.
And like trying to shut them up.
Oh, I think that Granny would probably have some basic knowledge of what food and things like that affects a dog. You also don't know, because of the way it was described, if this is the fierce watchdog that has been described by Bilbo. You don't know. I mean, you have a kind of a, I don't know what kind of a dog it is, but I would assume sort of a...
Oh, a very fearsome duck.
Yeah. That type of thing. Like, so you don't know how you deal with like some massive, guard canine that would be sort of out of your line. But certainly you know about the basic foods that dogs like and about things they do and don't appreciate.
Like, how massive are we thinking here? Like, as massive as a stone? Or...
Don't know. Bilbo described it as being very fierce.
Ooh.
Nobody's getting my jokes tonight. I'm trying.
Wait, what?
I got
Stone.
Stone. I heard that.
Okay, yes. Sorry.
I heard that. I appreciated that.
My bad.
I did too.
I was waiting for a sincere answer. I was like, is it as big as stone?
It was just a dumb joke. Leave me be.
I think it was an excellent joke, and I appreciated it.
I mean, as long as it's not the dog from Duck Hunt, I'll be fine. If it is, however, I'm going to shoot that son of a bitch. I hate that dog.
That was such a formative gameplay experience for me.
And I can call him a son of a bitch because it's accurate.
Literally, yes.
So-
I was waiting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
so
so-
are
Yeah,
we
we
at
have-
the inn at this point?
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
now, well,
yeah.
it depends on. I was waiting for you all to decide what your final plan was, but it sounds like you're in that direction. So the golden plate comes by its name honestly. When you request some red wine and actually a room and everything, what they want to do is to charge you a total of combining everything together, 15 silver, which is a lot of coin, and 5 of that apparently is for the room, and 10 of that is for the bottle of wine that they would be giving you. But it's
Can
also
Coriander try to negotiate?
with 0 effect. You get the impression that these people are very used to negotiating with individuals that want certain things done at a certain time.
Do we
So
have
are there
this money?
any other inns here?
No, all of them are full, according to what's been described.
What is happening? Why does every town have like some massive fucking festival going on?
Right, welcome to the Shire. It's a festival place.
Do we actually have 15 silver between us? I don't actually know.
I don't know
Probably.
myself, actually. I think you
Is
probably
feel
Granny
like-
willing to pay that much? That is a different
I mean,
question.
Bilbo is supposed to reward us handsomely afterwards and so on for this. All Coriander wants is a spoon.
Oh,
but-
right. Yeah. No. Granny's like, yes, no, this is fine. Like, we'll just get a receipt and then, like, Bilbo has to pay us back later.
There you go.
We'll submit it to finance when we get back
exactly,
to Bilbo's place.
exactly.
So, yeah, I guess, like, we just pool the money for now.
Yeah.
Like, everybody pays a quarter.
I didn't list the amount of money that we get at the beginning, so whatever amount that is, yeah.
It should be, like, 12 something silver.
Sure.
Yeah, because we're all in the comfortable lifestyle.
So, like, I guess, how much was it again, Greg?
It would work out to 15 between
15.
the wine and the room.
I guess.
Unless we didn't want to use the wine, but it's fine. I don't think we need to cheap out on this.
Couldn't we go to
I
a
agree.
tavern and get? We don't need expensive wine to make a fake map.
Yeah.
We just need wine.
So, how much is just the room?
Just the room by itself would be 5.
You don't need food though. Somewhere.
I think we are
Okay.
carrying provisions with us.
The food is 30, yeah. So
Yeah.
We're all eating
Coriander
hardtack.
asks, how much for just the plate?
well, the plate's gold, so
Yeah,
800.
it's just it's the classic, right? They try to it's like, oh, it's just 5 silver because they really want you to go and spend money in the casino. Is really
Mm-hmm.
so.
Tisk, tisk, tisk.
Yeah, you very much get the impression this is what the market shall bear. And a couple times they make references to a different bear. But they make reference on several occasions.
No one say bear ever again.
They make reference on several occasions to we understand things may be cheaper over in Hobbiton, but here type of thing.
You're in Michel Delving now.
Yeah, Michel Delving. Maybe over there it's a little bit
we put the Michel in Michelin star.
Yeah, exactly. And there actually
maybe after the tobacco convention's over.
There actually are basically 4 tobacco leaves that are prominently displayed, which apparently is indicative of the quality of this inn, as is informed as is told you by the very satisfied innkeeper, who's kind of like
we earned our 4th leaf last year.
Yes.
So I can't find any specific info on this, but is there a chance that we might simply already have wine on us as part of our rations?
I doubt it. You would probably, because it's not what you would travel with usually.
You don't know if Granny is an alcoholic or not.
That's true, but I would have needed to know that from Granny before we began.
As
it happens, I happen to have a wine cellar with 700 bottles.
This was all in her very detailed 800-page character background.
Yes,
PDF that I sent you.
I mean, you're an author. You don't read.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, unfortunately not. You can try to find, if you wish, a sort of cheaper, but it should be noted that Michel Delving, this is like Greenwich, all right? It's sort of hard to find even the so-called cheap stuff. Even Starbucks is more pricey in Greenwich, okay? So that's...
What about... what is that tea called again? Hagebuttentee. What the fuck is Hagebuttentee?
Like hibiscus?
I don't know.
More questions about the biome of the Shire, but, Actually, what am I saying?
This stuff definitely would grow here. It would be weird if it didn't.
Yeah, no, you can definitely...
I need to look up the English name for this stuff, because I don't know it.
Hagweed.
Rosehip.
Rosehip!
This just became
what about
the
rosehip tea?
Cattails.
Rosehip fruit.
This is what this just became.
I would think that you probably could get rosehip tea.
Actually, here's my question. I'm sorry. Can we because you're kind of roasting us in the chat about how much we are planning. I feel like all of this can be covered with herbalism. You can find a thing that makes a red ink, which is, wine. Sure, that's a grape. That's a kind of herb. But also...
That's a kind of herb.
I feel like knowing that rosehip... I don't know. I just feel like we're leaning too much on player knowledge here to need to be like... Rose hips are red and they make a red tea and that could be useful. Or any other thing. All of this is
I don't know about other countries. But over here I say, back home in Germany anyway, rosehip tea is like the quintessential grandma tea.
Yeah, so
every grandma has.
No, they definitely would have this here, and if you asked for rosehip tea, they would be willing to give you actually a kind of a pot of it, which they would give you for a couple of silver, which is outrageous. But is something that they'd be willing to do. It is, to be clear, fair. It's fair trade rosehip tea.
No,
it is the finest of rosehip teas.
The application of fair trade is very worrying.
I would find it very weird if Granny, who has herbalism and a herbalism kit and such, didn't have rosehip tea with her.
And who is a granny?
I will repeat what I said before about the herbalism thing. I'm perfectly willing to allow some of this to go through. I am not willing to allow herbalism to miraculously become an ink kit. You are able to use some of this. I'm assuming that you're using some of this modified with some other things to make what you're looking for. But as it is, you're jury rigging this a bit. So I think I'm being reasonable in the middle ground that we're tracing, I think, for something like this.
I think it's Middle Earth here.
Middle Earth, yes, in the middle ground of the Middle Earth. And this inn is attempting to, obliterate everybody financially. That is 100% the case. But the point being, you can find what you're looking for, yes. But it is going to cost. Is the point?
Will we just wait this night? and just try to find all of the shit for cheaper tomorrow.
It's not going to be that much. It's the whole point is Michelle Delving is very wealthy and stuff, so it's not really about that.
We might as well get some stuff now.
Yeah, like I think it makes sense to make a map with. I am just like, I feel like a check could probably come in here at some point and stuff to see how effective a map we could make.
Oh yes, I'm going to ask for when you actually put this all together. Yes.
I also freely confess I am starving. I really want to go have dinner soon.
What if we don't have a Czech? What if we have a Ukrainian?
Clever.
How about Hungarian?
Okay, so if you're going to put this map together now, did I understand that you were so let's settle on, let's say 5 for the room, let's say 2 silver for the tea/wine/ however we're going to put this together. So let's say 7 all told. Are you going to do the thing that you were planning on having Coriander sneak out at 4 a.m.? So like do the map during the night, and then Cal and Coriander are going to sneak out, or how are you going to work this based on the way you were describing it?
I'm happy to have her sneak out. I don't know what Cal would prefer to do. I feel like it's like she is optimized for sneaking. She's super sneaky, and but potentially, and I was thinking she could sneak out and not draw attention to herself, and they would all have an alibi should that become necessary, and stuff.
And sneak out to do what?
To
actually try to swap the map?
Oh, no. To yeah. Well, why not? We could do that if the map is ready. Otherwise, could go and just try to
just kind of case the place or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Get in good with the dog.
Yeah, I would think we'd want. I mean, my view is that door and the hill is the place to go, so we can get in more or less unseen, get inside, and see what's what from there, rather than risk being seen by the bounders or anybody else trying to get to the skylight or one of the bar doors or whatever.
Sure. Okay, I'm sorry, my brain is shutting down, so I'm happy to just follow whatever is being suggested here.
Also, Granny makes sure to keep to get like proper receipts for all the stuff that we are spending on,
okay,
so that we can get our money back from people.
That sounds.
So the map is going to be first. So why don't we do that, and then we can see if we're going to try that door or not.
Okay. Let's take a look. I'm trying to think what I'm going to give you as a check for this.
So just as a reminder, we are starting with the ink for my calligraphy set. So we have sort of a starting point where we're trying to massage it a little bit to look oldie-timey kind of thing. So maybe that's a plus or advantage or something like that.
I would agree with that. I would say...
How much paper do you have on you?
I would have probably kind of regularish paper, but enough, to keep me in supply when I have a hankering to draw maps, which is often. So
a small
beam.
I'm gonna have you make.
Yeah, I'd have a
bunch of
small
sheets
stack
of paper that are like distressed in like different fashions, so that we make sure that
sure
we have like something to choose from.
So I would say let's make this, I think, a dexterity check, but I'm going to allow you to do this adding your proficiency bonus to this, and I'll also give you advantage on this check, because I think you've done enough based on the size of the paper and everything, obviously, because you're just doing it on a single sheet. But I think I think you've done enough of these maps to be able to do something that may be credible on the size given. So that's what that would be my suggestion, would have us do the dexterity check. Yeah, expertise.
Oh, wait, sorry. What, did I just put stuff in here? Whoops, sorry.
That's
I
okay.
didn't realize I was putting in the chat. Yes, sorry, I was just surfacing that. I was trying to do this super unobtrusively, and I failed my stealth check. But I was gonna ask you about this privately, because I haven't actually picked what combination of two of my skills are.
Okay.
And I wanted to do that separately.
Okay.
Because I wanted to do that before having to do any checks, essentially. So.
Okay, let's take care of the map first, and then we'll come back to that. So I would say
so who's doing
Cal, you are Cal, because you're putting the map together. And so I would have you do a dexterity check. I would have you add your proficiency. bonus to that. So whatever your dex is, plus proficiency bonus, and then do that at advantage. And we'll see how well your map comes out.
Oh, can I inspire this? I want to inspire it.
Yes,
Well,
but
it was
first
already
Cal
at
has, to
advantage.
do, Cal has to do not a stealth check, though.
Oh.
I'm sure you're trying
But
to be stealthy.
that's dex. I don't have anything else.
Oh, okay. So that's what
Yeah.
you have. Okay, so does that
So-
count? That wasn't counting the +1 though, right? For the proficiency.
That includes a +4. So
So it
Wait,
had
you
that.
don't
Okay.
have dex?
Okay, so then 14.
make
So then I think that with that, I think that check is enough for you to do a relatively credible distressed map. Now, how long it's going to take? Well, he was already at advantage, Amal. So
Oh,
that
he was?
doesn't-
Okay, never
yeah.
mind. Yeah.
So it doesn't. Yeah. That's why he got the 14, in fact, instead of the 5. I think you're able to do a reasonably credible map. Now, one thing to be careful about is how you're going to, and you don't have to go into great detail about this. Just tell me briefly, how are you protecting it while you get it to the thing? See you, Echo. Like how are you,
well,
in your backpack?
we don't know what kind of creases and stuff it would have
Right.
at this point. So, so I will try to roll it. And I don't know if I have any tube, and if I don't have a tube, I'll try to fashion one out of
think you have
like
a tube.
leather.
I would
I
say
think,
you have a
I think if you're a map maker, you've
yeah,
got
you have a
that.
tube.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, probably have like.
So I'll
short
roll it, and then we'll see if we need to add creasing later or something like that.
Okay, so you're able to do that.
Oh, and
takes
Granny
you a
gives
couple of
him-
hours to put that together, I would say.
Okay.
Granny also hands them the sand so that he can like go on and
Yeah.
distress
Okay.
creases.
Okay.
Sure.
So that I would say is done. Now, you are leaving this evening, right? But,
I don't
before
think
the
waiting
break
an
of day.
extra day helps us anymore. So yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. The 4 of you were headed out in that direction, if I'm not mistaken. Then.
Titch is still out there.
All right. Titch has been standing there. That's true. Titch, what have you been doing during this time while standing? Kind of for this moment. I forgot about that.
Basically, anytime any large sort of hobbit that's anywhere near the size of a giant astral bear comes nearby, he just kind of
Yes.
Right.
turns-
I think Titch just reverts to sentry mode when no one's looking at him.
Right, and the Bounders give you this sort of like weird look, but clearly have been informed of you, so they kind of. But there's a couple that sort of do the holding the lantern and like literally as they're going by, just sort of watching you. So
And when he does put the spear back, he just kind of
yeah, exactly.
watches. So we're just like looking at each other as we
Yeah.
walk by.
The moon
It is
rises.
clear that he is on guard and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
taking it very seriously.
The moon rises, and as the moon is starting to go down on the other side, you note Coriander and Cal and Granny are making their way back to you. Although I will need a stealth check from Granny and Cal and Coriander. Not Titch, because Titch is kind of in a different position at the moment, but from the 3 of you, I will need.
Okay, I'll roll perception to see if I,
Bam.
Who has the lowest stealth? Because I can inspire someone.
We're all
already rolled and
hobbits,
I'm
so we
fine.
all.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
I don't
interesting,
see
Arudna.
Caloran. I don't see Caloran at all.
Yeah, Cal just vanishes completely. Okay, let's see. And then Granny with the 13.
Like I'm saying, I'm inspiring someone.
Oh, well, you
No.
could.
You should
I mean,
save that.
Should I? I've got 2, and I have to use them both in the next 14 minutes for this month.
that's true. Actually, that's true.
So
Keep it for the
I'll
door
take it if
to
it's,
open
like,
the door.
Still allowed, even though I already rolled.
You could do that if you wish. If you, I'll allow that in this particular case. Although I don't think Coriander, you have not yet rolled.
I have not rolled.
Okay.
No. Let me roll my stealth. That's a 24.
Oh wow! So yeah, so you
You're a quiet group.
silently, make your way up, avoiding the Bounders as they go, and you find Titch standing guard at the head of the stone path, which leads to the house. To the
Hi,
mountain
Titch.
house.
Did you think I was a bear?
No. I just didn't
Well,
hear
it's
you
good.
come.
I'm not a bear. I'm Coriander. I hope you remember me.
Come along, everyone. Cal kind of rounds everyone's
Okay.
everyone
Makes
up.
your way down. And
We've
are
got
you
a mission
heading
to
to the
complete.
door, Cal, or are you?
Yeah, we're gonna kind of circle around so we're not seen by bounders.
Right.
And approach the door from the far end.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Coriander. Sorry.
I was gonna say, Coriander is really intrigued by the skylight.
Okay.
And just wants to like go up to see if she can peek down through it and see anything.
Okay. So let me have you make, please, an acrobatics check for me. It's not a super difficult one, just to get.
Sorry, where's this skylight?
It's up on the roof. You can't quite. It's towards the peak of the roof, actually. And so, but there is one spot that dips low enough down the edge of the roof that you think, with a boost, maybe if Titch, for example, were to give a boost to Coriander, could probably get up to the side.
To abandon his post.
That's a 25.
Good. That's if Titch wants to do that. That's true. So 25, assuming that you are given a boost by Titch. That's up to Titch. But assuming you are, then you can get onto the roof pretty easily.
Grab onto the end of the spear.
Sorry.
We have experience
did we all just walk up? Did we all just walk up to the Matham house?
To the side, I think, is what you were doing, right? You were doing the side door, I believe, is that you're making your way up the bounders.
Well, I thought there was a door in the hill.
Right, that's the one. Right, that's the one that I was talking about. Right.
Okay.
Coriander would be the one going to. That's actually true. Coriander, you would need to go up.
I'm worried about approaching the Matham house at all because the door I thought was farther away-ish.
It is a little further away.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I just don't want the bounders to see anybody.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. I feel like there's actually maybe less chance of us getting spotted if we are not all in one clump. But it's fine. I mean, honestly, Coriander will probably just be like, "It's fine. You check the door. I'll just go and do this other thing," and she'll just like
just head off to do this.
Wait.
Well, then I mean, we have to have an understanding. Coriander has to come open. She has to find us at that other door because we're not going through the skylight. We're not going to be able to climb up.
No, exactly. I mean, this was kind of the thought I was having, was that she would check through there and see if she could see anything untoward or if she could slip down, because she doesn't know very much about the skylight except for the fact that it's there.
All right. Well.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sorry. What is it?
Cal is worried about you going, Titch going, anybody going. If anybody needs to go, you should go alone. I don't want Titch going either, unless you absolutely need that boost.
No, she's very happy to go alone. This is her whole initial plan was to just kind of go alone and sneak in alone. Tari, what did you want to say?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to ask if Titch was like staying in front of the main door. Because it would be suspicious if the bounders like noticed, hey, where did that guy go?
I was proceeding on the assumption that we all had successful stealth checks and therefore didn't have to, like, that we had actually evaded attention.
So far.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was just kind of approach the house sort of thing.
Right.
So Cal's position is this: we should lower our exposure as much as possible. You guys can do whatever you want to do, but he's saying, you know, if anybody needs to go, Coriander, go. Titch, you should stay back, and you guys can do what you want from there.
Okay.
Okay, so is Titch going to stay at the head of the stone path then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then
right where he was told to stay.
Where he's told to stay. Cal
not the stone path. I mean the. I want us back by the door, away from traffic, you know. So
that's fine.
We're not just like standing out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, and then Coriander can go and do the climb and see what she sees. And
okay, are you going to wait on the door while Coriander is doing that check? By the way, Cal.
We're going to wait close to the door,
right? But not trying to open it yet until.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if we have those skills anyway. I'm not even going to try it. We're just going to wait to see what Coriander does.
All right, so Coriander, I think with that 25, even without the boost, I think probably you can get yourself onto the roof.
Use your fly hook.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And when you get up to the peak of the roof where the skylight is visible, then you are able to get up and see. The good news is that it is not a very big skylight, but it is big enough that theoretically you could sneak through, and it is not locked. In fact, That's the good news. The not so good news is that it is pretty high up above the floor. And that it's actually, there are 2 floors in the Matham house, but it almost is kind of like a cathedral ceiling where it would be a pretty decent drop. So you'd need to make a pretty decent acrobatics check to land without hurting yourself or making a lot of noise inside the place.
She does have rope with her that we used like for the river and stuff. Is there anything around the skylight that she could...
Not really anything she could tie it to. Unless she's going to maybe tie it around the window, but it's not really designed to... It's
might
risky,
break the window.
Coriander. It might break the window, yeah.
Okay, but she is also very small and very light.
I agree.
You are very small.
It's true. I think that if it looks like it's actually a very big drop, that she'll try to rig a bit of like rope around the window to try and drop a little bit more quietly to go in, and just see what she can do from there.
Is she going to drop down? So she's not going to go back and report to everyone. She's going to go down inside the house.
I mean, if she went to report to everyone, she'd have to then like clamber back up and do this. How can I ask, like, how difficult would clambering up to the skylight be for someone who wasn't as nimble, according to her, like, assessing this?
It's not ridiculously hard, but it's not as easy as like climbing a ladder.
Okay.
So Titch would probably have a bit of a struggle, I would think.
Okay, and all right. My desire to be a helpful player is warring with my desire to be a horrible nuisance. So, I. 6 minutes left. I think she's gonna drop down. Just drop down, do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing the thing with the rope?
Fuck.
I found the dog.
Yeah. I will say, if the dog thing is on her mind because of what Bilbo said, she will have like snuck some pepper into her pockets.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say that from now. Right?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, then I will ask you to make, please, another acrobatics check.
Would anyone like to inspire this?
Let your way
I don't even know if I have inspirations.
Do you think you might have used them already, Trent?
I don't know. I can't remember the command. And
It would be...
apparently
Well,
I
it's
can check.
inspiration. Yeah, it's inspiration have.
Well, it's exclamation inspiration.
Oh, I have it. Yeah.
What's your function? Oh, good. I have 2.
You do have
Yes,
two.
I will inspire.
Hooray.
Coriander to do this.
Thank you, Coriander.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, the inspiration icon is different now. Instead of the tree, it's a little dragon.
Mhm.
When I clicked a little inspiration thing.
I think we're okay, Dragon. I think Tren is inspiring. So has unfortunately inspired the not correctly spelled Coriander, and so will not gain. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So, all right, Coriander. So go ahead and make then this acrobatics check. You can do this at advantage.
It's not like it's written on the page or anything.
Exactly.
Let's see.
Okay.
24.
Yeah, so you're able to slip down into this very dramatic, high-ceilinged series of rooms. And I would say
Superhero landing.
Yeah, there you go. I would say the first thing, yeah, right, Captain America. I would say the first thing that you notice, Coriander, as you slip down to the bottom of this is you're not sure that you've ever seen this many cool-looking things in one place. So there are shelves of books that you can see. There are a set of perfectly polished diamond studs that's set on a pedestal under glass. And there are a pair of these strange crossed walking sticks mounted on one wall. And there are countless under knickknacks and mathams on display. There are old brass buttons mounted on a velvet board. There's a gleaming coat of silver rings on a post in the corner. Just a whole bunch of stuff.
These diamond studs, do they look like Pedro Pascal and Diego Luna?
I do in that ballpark, right? But the two things that are most notable to you are, one, you think, Coriander, man, it's going to be hard to track down, the old Tooks map in like all of this, because there's lots of different maps and posters. And the other thing you notice is you hear a
dragon,
and it sort of echoes around the room a little bit. And that is because you can see, curled up asleep under a writing desk, letting out very heavy snores, is the following enormously intimidating creature. So just give me a second. Very important to show this on stream.
I'm totally imagining a tiny fluffy dog.
Yeah.
A little pink bow and a little schnauzer.
There's listen, I don't want to frighten everyone. I would say
his name is
Bruiser. What'd you say?
An ermine wearing a cape.
An ermine wearing a cape. Okay, there's this, and okay, let me make sure that I get the full order. Okay, here we go, chat. There it is. A fearsome.
I knew it! That's exactly what I was imagining. Minus the bow.
Fearsome terrier that is snoring and and it's sort of like its little legs are jerking as if it's sleeping while chasing something. So as you see this creature, and you sort of just slide your foot and sort of like moves and shifts a little bit. Inside the room, as you look over, you can see what looks like a little hallway that, if you've got it right, extends out to the door leading out to your companions.
Ooh. Very good.
I think it is there, thinking about the snoring dog and those waiting outside, that we will bring our session to a close. Yes, the fierce beast that is here awaiting you. And so we're going to see, chat, next time as the party actually goes in. We will wrap up Conspiracy Most Cracked one way or the other next session, and we'll find out whether or not they escape this thing. The party is indeed terrified. Very well done, Prince.
Oh.
So good stuff today, folks. Good stuff. As we were figuring out plans and how to arrange all of this stuff. I will start with the gentleman bottom right and then make my way around because I know everyone is tired. I'll start with Tren. Good stuff from Titch today. I was enjoying the idea of Titch, that the whole thing about like the bear, like, wait, that's where they're actually keeping the bear. Which it's always hard to tell with Titch how much of that is just trying to kind of get things over on them and how much is actually Titch being like, I bet that's where the damn bear is, like they committed to his mission sort of thing. So I thought that was kind of fun, and I love the image of you sort of standing on guard, something Titch is very familiar with, in front of a stone bridge, as these bounders sort of give you these looks as they walk past. I found that very amusing too. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
It was good. Much like Terry, I'm drifting.
Yes, that's why I'm rapping now before
I know.
Completely.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun for the parts that I was entirely awake for. If I was really having a problem with people not taking advantage of the moments where I was trying to create a distraction, I would have said so in Zoom chat. I would have been like, damn it.
Yeah.
He's trying to create a moment for you to slip away. Whatever, it's fine. It was fun. Just the idea of Titch not being there when the whole thing comes up with the dog, because part of his thing was that when he was a gate guard, he would take care of the animals that people would bring with them.
Right.
So I made sure he had animal handling as one of his things. So it's like he's not there to deal with the animal. I love it. It's perfect. It's great. It's just, I love it when a plan completely falls apart. It's just beautiful. Nothing is funnier to me than shit like this. Thing, where will people see me next? I don't know. It'll probably be here next month, I imagine. Although, for the week of the 10th through the 15th, I am on call for jury duty.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you guys are having a Shire Adventures that week, which would be the 11th, I'm not going to be there for it because I'll probably be, unless like Monday, which is Easter Monday, I call and they're like, why are you calling? It's Easter Monday. I'm like, because the instructions say to call that day. But anyway, if they basically go, we don't need you for this week, you're done for the year, and I'll be like, okay, fine, thank you. And then Tuesday I'll be available, but that's too short a notice and everything.
Yeah, we will try to avoid that week if we can.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, thank you.
We will do our best.
Yeah, also that will be the weekend, and that will be the day after the weekend.
Yes.
Where, Belgium is happening for.
Belgium exists any other time of the year as well. Just,
No.
Yeah, I think it does. And quick, one final thing regarding terriers. There's an episode of Scooby-Doo where somebody was talking about Scooby, and Fred says, oh, he's a mixed breed, part terrier, part terrified. So.
Clever. I see. And very appropriate for Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, and he's way too big to be a terrier anyway. So,
a big terrier.
Fred is clearly stupid. Anyway, go ahead.
Always a pleasure to have Trent with us. And also a pleasure, as always, to have Tari with us. Tari, I know it is, in case people are curious, by the way, the reason for various points of exhaustion has to do with time zones. As I mentioned, this is like trying to get everybody on the same page time zone-wise. Means that sometimes people are playing in the middle of the night, quite literally for them. So I am very grateful that people are trying, but that explains why there's a little bit of fatigue that we've got talking about here. So with that said, Tari, I was enjoying Granny's, I was enjoying everybody's sort of like figuring out how to distress maps. I could use sand, I could use my herbalism kit, I could use this, I could use that, and that sort of thing while watching this while smoking a pipe, and I was amused by all of it. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next, besides sleeping?
Well, first of all, this was, as always, a lot of fun. A lot of player knowledge versus character knowledge today, because I know how I would distress paper. I know how I would make some crappy ink. How hard can it be?
You're an artist.
Artist. I have like books on this kind of shit. Here.
Indeed.
So I'm very tired, and I will just go now. People can follow me on Instagram and on Tumblr. Good night.
Thanks, Tari. Always a pleasure to have Tari with us. Also,
Tari turns into a terrier.
Exactly, turned into a Tari. Also a pleasure to have Brad with us. Brad, Cal obviously has got a lot of attention that's going to be focused on, as we talked about, with the maps and the actual making of the map, and Cal actually then trying to figure out how to replace this map and all that stuff. This is going to be very much in Cal's wheelhouse, I think. Once he actually gets into the place, and that of course is still to be accomplished, but soon TM they'll be inside. In the meantime, Cal had a lot of stuff to think about in terms of how to distress things, and as we talked about, player character knowledge and all that kind of stuff. So it was fun to see how people make a fake map. How did you feel about a real map, but a map that's not the map they think it is when it's left behind? How'd you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Yeah, it was fun. It's pretty interesting seeing Cal after so many months of Bolo, years of Bolo, where he was like the troublemaker, not because he was trying to be, but because he was new to adventuring and didn't know what to do. And here's Cal turning into this like herder,
I love it.
Heading in the right direction.
This used to be my role.
Yeah, we have traded roles. So I'm picturing us like getting to the place where the map is, and we open something up and there's like a golden light coming from inside and we see the map, That was a wonderful moment. Yeah, so that'll be fun after all this build up to get to it. Where will people see me next? So I'm headed to Belgium. So I have a check my website, quillings.com. I'll have news on my Paris signing, which is set up for April 5th, I think at 6 p.m. local time in Paris. And then that coming weekend, the 7th, 8th, and 9th, is the Trolls and Legends in Mons, Belgium at the convention center there. So if you happen to be in Europe and go to that festival, be sure to say hi.
No, that's super awesome, and we will take into account the Europe trip as well. But we'll talk about that in Discord. I will leave that in Triffitt's capable hands. But thanks, Brad. Always a pleasure in that regard. And last but certainly not least, Amal, good stuff out of Coriander as well. I did think it was funny, the battle between player and character, and what the character would want to do and what the player would want to do. Also, the back and forth with Coriander and Ada. I like the idea that genuinely, like, Coriander was like, oh, Ada seems like such a cool person, and maybe I too should become a bounder and all that. And it also serves the purpose of distraction, even that's not intentionally what Coriander meant to do, and all that. And then, of course, now is in the middle of this Metham house, but confronting the fierce beast, known as this dog that Bilbo told you about. So it'll be interesting to see how Coriander handles that and dealing with the rest of the party as well. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
It was tremendously fun. I worry about just like the gregarity of Coriander like overshadowing things, but it is very, very perhaps disturbingly easy to fall into her voice and affect. And I just I have nothing but fellow feeling for but also karmic retribution for Brad with Bolo and stuff. And I literally found myself thinking this is like Cal, like, wait, what our plan? And I was like, this is what River would do every time Inga
the vein in his forehead is popping out.
Yeah. Inga is gonna brute force something. Bolo is gonna wander off and do something he's not supposed to do. Optimize the plan. Anyway, but now I did say I was gonna enjoy playing a character who causes problems on purpose. So
there's this great commercial, Best Buy commercial from a number of years ago, where they're talking to this couple is talking to each other, and she's like, all right, we're just going in to get this one thing, and the husband's like, absolutely, and then they comes to Best Buy and he giggles and runs off, and you just see, and she just closes her eyes in this just like long suffering, like God help me sort of way. I had this image of that being like the reaction to Coriander.
This is very funny to me because I have not seen that commercial, but the
like 15 years ago, a long time.
The gender roles in it are so completely opposite in like a grocery store, where my overwhelming experience as a child going to a grocery store with my mom was that just my mom would say, oh yes, we're only going in there for like bread, and then she'd come out with half the store of just expediency, and I was like, right now I'm tired of being in the grocery store. Why has this come to mind? Is it because I am starving? Probably.
Probably.
So, anyway, I'm sorry. I also absolutely went very, like, just vague and feral at the same time in the last 20 minutes because of just
hunger.
Just being hungry. Phone fikes can find me. Fine folks can find me on the internet at my website, where there is a newsletter that you can sign up for should you wish to. amalinmokhtar.com. Other than that, I cannot think at all of where people could find me. Here next month at some point.
Yes, that will be the case. And so go get food and rest respectively. Chat, can we get some love for our amazing players, Amal Omatar, Brad Bollier, the now sleeping presumably Tari Tunes, and Trent Sparks. Great work, players. I will see you back here next month for more of these sessions.
Thank y'all.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Right. So that is going to do it for us for today, and it was a lot of fun. And thank you for all of the cheers and so on, Dragon. I'm having a lot of fun with this, with this adventure, which is very lighthearted and, may have more. There may be some more darkness that may sneak in, over time. But I'm enjoying having a different kind of a feel from the very intense end of Adventures of Middle-earth that we had last time, and so that has been good stuff. So, and more of it is going to be coming as a result. Now, right now, I am not quite done for the stream, although I am going to cut stream at the moment. In about 50 minutes, I'm going to be back here, though, playing with our vocalists with Citizen Sleeper. I only have 2 our vocalists today because KP is moving, so KP will not be joining us today. He will be back next month. So what we're going to have now is going to be one Mr. Zach Clay and one Rem Alternus, who is brand new, so she'll be joining us as well. And they will be continuing with our Citizen Sleeper playthrough as we move into the home stretch of that game. That'll be tonight at 9 p.m. Then again, I will be off Wednesday, Thursday, and I'll be back on Friday night for Court of Blades Valorword, our Speculate presentation. You'll definitely want to be here for that. And then on Saturday for Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, as that is finally reaching its fantasy and science fiction characters. That decision will be made on Saturday, finally at long last, as we get back onto the wagon, as it were, and get moving with this. So I am excited for that as we go along. If you liked what you saw and heard, may I recommend that you follow the channel. May I recommend as well that you check out our YouTube at !ArvTube, Discord at !ArvCord, Twitter with !ArvTweets, website arvanelaron.com, financially !ArvShop for the merchandise area, !ArvTreon for the Patreon. Subbing to the channel, as several of you did today, is always appreciated, so thank you for that. Obviously, on the publishing side, !Icarus for my graphic novel from Athos Arts, !Library for my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Entertainment, Alley Entertainment, which is rapidly selling out. It's not out yet, but it is definitely, copies are flying off the shelves quite really, like they're selling quite well, so that's great. So make sure you get your wish in now, especially if you want a physical copy. And Greyshade for my novel from Athos Arts, which came out last year. The sequel, Renegade, will be out later this year. The final book in that trilogy, Heretic, will be out next year. The tabletop role-playing game from Brandon O'Brien of Greyshade, out later this year. And the audiobook of Greyshade from Trent Sparks will be out later this year as well. So a lot of cool stuff that you can get at Greyshade, Greyshade, and check that out as well. Last but certainly not least, BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. Thank you, Triffid, for that reminder. And Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the fine people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war, and are doing so with bravery and courage. This is our message that we will do that not only for them, but for others who are in a similar situation in the future, to help as much as we can. Now, I have just posted a link to Next Game, and I am going to close that down now. So now is your chance. We have results are tied. 6 votes for Star Control 2, 6 votes for The Building Full of Cats. So I need right now folks to make their vote. And then that is going to be the one that we're going to play next Tuesday at my regular time of around noon Eastern or so, roughly speaking, on Tuesday. So get your votes in now. Again, we have 6 votes for Star Control 2, 6 votes for The Building Full of Cats. Please get your votes in now. And because we do need to have a tiebreaker vote, please, someone, please get your votes in. If you have not already voted, please get your votes in. 6 votes for Star Control 2, 6 votes for The Building Full of Cats. Oh, was I? Oh, all right. Well, okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. I did say that, didn't I? Okay, yeah, you're right. So never mind. Anyway, still get your votes in, though, if you haven't done so already, and we will finish it up after the Our Vocalist tonight. Yeah, that's right. I did say that because I wanted to give people a chance, since I'm going to be streaming twice tonight anyway. So at the end of that session, next session, Our Vocalist session, I will do that. But in the meantime, please get your votes in, and don't forget, because that would be very helpful. I want to thank everyone who was here for this stream. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Rudnell Dragonspear, Emily the Invincible, Prince Justin, Triffany Mats. Thank you to the best mods in the business. Thank you as well to my Patreon supporters and subscribers, Rudnell Dragonspear, Emily, Prince Justin, Triffid, Tren. Thank you so much as well to Amal for her continued support of the Patreon. And thank you to my viewers. Thank you to Antoine Q. Thank you to Elena. Thank you to Everlost, Elizabeth. Thank you to Jagtris, Lakaylee, Leoric. Thank you to Radams and thank you to Tilted Gaming, always a pleasure. And a special thanks today to my wonderful players for Shire Adventures. Thank you to Brad Bollier, thank you to Trent Sparks, thank you to Tari Tunes, and thank you to Amal Elmatar. I'll be back at you folks in 45 minutes, 9 p.m. Eastern, for some Citizen Sleeper and our vocalists. Until then, thank you all for being here, and more of Shire Adventures to come next month. Until I speak to you folks shortly, everyone be good to each other, and I'll catch you all in just a little bit. Bye for now.